Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, American Comics. Expose the foundation at the beginning, shocking the world. Chapter 81. In the sky, compared with the grand magnetic lines of metal and rubble. Those armed helicopters, it looks as small as a few toys. It's just like, in a storm, like a floating dragonfly. But, after seeing the signs of these armed helicopters, everyone was stunned. The ruins of the Pentagon are not far away. This sign, is this someone from the asylum? The agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., in the originally desperate heart, hope was suddenly ignited. For these anomalous containment, it can be said that there is no organization in the world that can understand better than this shelter. Every previous containment, as long as the Containment Society makes a move, it will definitely be able to catch it. It will work this time too. Nick Fury's brow, but it was tightly wrinkled. In the eyes, revealed the color of deep uneasiness. For these agents dispatched by the Containment Society, after so many successful containment operations of abnormal containment objects. Of course he believed it. B. Magneto is not an anomalous containment object. Originally it was an extremely powerful mutant capable of controlling metal. And now, after trading with Momo, Magneto's ability, it is even more powerful to the point of unimaginable. The metal-free prisons he built before can't stop him anymore. Magnetic force, it is one of the four fundamental forces of the universe. Earth, even within the scope of the entire universe, the influence of magnetic force is indispensable. Not even Nick Fury could have imagined. Now Magneto. Who else can resist? The Containment Society, does it really have a way to deal with it? With Magneto's current ability, maybe those gunships from the Asylum Council haven't arrived yet. It will be directly twisted into a ball by Magneto's magnetic force. And not far away, Black Widow Natasha Romanoff looked at the armed helicopters with a look of anticipation in his eyes. Judging from her experience during this time, every time the Asylum Council makes a move, it has never failed. Now, since the agents of the shelter have appeared here, then they must have their own confidence. Although, what exactly this confidence is, she just doesn't know. Stark Industrial Building. This person actually controls magnetism. Looking at the picture in the light curtain, Stark looked shocked. He really can't figure it out. One of the four fundamental forces of the universe. Why can it be controlled? But, when seeing the armed helicopters of the Asylum Council approaching from far away, in his eyes, can't help but reveal the essence again. The people from the Containment Society actually came. If they want to successfully contain this abnormal containment object, if they want to make a deal with the devil, they must go through this level that can control the magnetic force. How will they deal with it? Sudden, a flash of inspiration flashed in his mind, and he thought of the figure of a little girl. Could it be by Zhao Zena? The shock left in his heart by, not good enough, was too great. That girl, just give it an order. Anything can be done to a certain extent. There is no upper limit. If the Containment Committee orders it. If you let him kill the person who controls the magnetism twice. Even though this man behaved so powerfully. But Stark still believes. He really might not be able to survive the, not good enough, hands. But, wait a minute, Stark suddenly thought. Not good enough, last time. Experiments with the unkillable Tuatara. Kamar Taj. If you really rely on that girl, there is a great hope that it can be resolved. The Ancient One magician muttered to himself. The abnormal phenomenon that can make the reality shut down is simply outrageous and terrifying. But the next moment, Ancient One shook his head again, but that girl's abnormal effect is too easy to be restrained. In the last, not good enough, interaction experiment with the lizard. That lizard finally let, not good enough, kill it. Is considered a new instruction. Then, not good enough, is no longer moving. In this case, if the Containment Society actually sends out, not good enough. If you come to participate in the containment. Instead, it is easy to be given new instructions by Magneto. Things may get even more out of control by then. So, the Containment Council will absolutely not allow this further out of control situation to happen. While other anomalous containment items, then there is no other way. Whether it's Kane who can bounce wirelessly, it is still the lizard that can evolve and adapt infinitely. Magneto just needs to ignore them. Just use steel to build a prison for them and trap them temporarily. As for that shy man who ignores all restraints, Ancient One believed, it definitely kills Magneto. But there are too many people paying attention to this scene now. Once the shy man appears, there will definitely be countless people seeing his face, causing an out-of-control chain reaction. So, what method will the Containment Council use to contain it? In the eyes of the Ancient One magician, a strong look of curiosity flashed across. Now, over the ruins of the Pentagon, in those gunships, after approaching a certain range, immediately sensed by Magneto, anyone else dares to come. He suddenly looked in that direction. But suddenly he was shocked. This sign is from the Asylum Society. Inside the Pentagon's metal-free prison. He already knew about this containment meeting from the first inventory of the abnormal containment item Peanut. Doubts from the beginning, to the latter believe but disdain. Until I met that set of tables and chairs. And after really making oneself stronger to this extent, in his mind, there was only shock left. At this moment, I saw the helicopter of the Asylum Council approaching. He couldn't help feeling tense in his heart. Why did they appear here? By the way, that set of tables and chairs must also be an anomalous containment item. No matter what, they can't really get that set of tables and chairs. Quote, have personally experienced, after owning this unparalleled power, Magneto already made up his mind. I must firmly occupy the set of tables and chairs. Anyone can't take it away. Besides, it's just some helicopters, eh? His heart sank, and he directly focused on those armed helicopters, activating his own abilities. However, the next moment, he was stunned. He found own different ability. In the face of those armed helicopters, it failed. Can't control it at all. That helicopter is obviously full of metal. Don't these just look like metal? No, I can control magnetism now. Whether it's metal or not, I should be able to control it. Magneto was stunned. Everything should be magnetic, but the file size is different. On this helicopter, he couldn't feel it. This must be the method of the Asylum Council. But it's useless. Magneto looked at the armed helicopters with deep eyes. Below, Nick Fury looked up to the sky, slightly taken aback. Now, the armed helicopter of the Containment Society has already entered the range of the magnetic chain formed by those metal fragments. Logically speaking, it should have been within Magneto's attack range for a long time. Why hasn't Magneto done anything about it yet? With his current ability, let alone these armed helicopters. Even if nuclear weapons come, he should be able to easily control it. Could it be that Magneto also knows about the Asylum Council and doesn't want to provoke it? Nick Fury's brow furrowed tightly. But judging from the information obtained by S.H.I.E.L.D., it is absolutely impossible for Magneto to be a person with this personality. But at this moment, he saw, in the sky, the magnetic chain composed of countless metal fragments, suddenly rushed towards those armed helicopters. Nick Fury's pupils shrank suddenly. On the screen of the light curtain, the shards of metal covering the sky, under the manipulation of magnetism. Like the monstrous sea water, it rushed towards the tiny, armed helicopter. This picture is extremely shocking. Cosmic starry sky. On the spaceship, where the hell is this person, so powerful? Star-Lord's eyes widened immediately. Other people's faces, also full of unbelievable colors. The anomalous containment, making a deal with the devil. Can it really give people such a powerful force? Quote. Gamora's gaze, but staring at the screen tightly, suddenly exclaimed, look. Xingju and the others immediately looked at the screen. Immediately afterwards, a dull look suddenly appeared on their faces. I saw, in the screen of the light curtain, the metal fragments all over the sky are like a tide. However, after approaching the armed helicopter within a certain range, it was as if they had lost their source of power. Everything is like rain, falling towards the ground. Not a single piece of metal can be within 10 meters of the armed helicopter. Under the ruins of the Pentagon. What's going on here? After seeing this scene, Nick Fury was stunned. Immediately afterwards, he saw it from the light curtain. On one of the gunships, a group of agents, surrounding a hexagonal cylindrical machine, it started to operate. Soon, one of the agents said, attacked. Agent, C-6735, Anomaly Containment, and Momui Special Containment Team, apply to expand the influence range of number 35 Scranton Reality Anchor. The application is approved and will be implemented immediately. Scranton Reality Anchor. What is this? Nick Fury froze. Immediately following the next moment, the expression on his face instantly became dull. I saw, the moment the agent's voice fell from that gunship, it seems that there is an invisible ripple, and it ripples along with it. Then you see, the metal shards that once filled the sky start with the gunship as the center of the circle, crashing and falling to the ground. In the sky, Magneto's face, in an instant, he was filled with panic. He feels, that feeling of omnipotence is gone. I actually lost control of that power. No. Magneto yelled in horror. How is this possible? His figure, with the loss of magnetic mastery, it also slowly fell to the ground, looking blankly at those armed helicopters, flying in the direction of the set of tables and chairs. Then, the members of the shelter were trained to move the set of tables and chairs to the armed helicopter. Around, it was eerily quiet for an instant. Everyone. They all looked blankly at the armed helicopters that were slowly disappearing. Xavier Ability Academy. This. Professor X looked at the light curtain with horror on his face. Originally, he should be very excited to see Magneto's crisis resolved. But now, he is full of panic. This containment. Can it make Magneto's ability disappear? And is it Magneto whose strength has been strengthened to such an extent? Doesn't that mean, if the Foundation wants to, it can turn all mutants into normal people? Hiss. This is too scary, although at odds with Magneto's ideas. But Professor X also felt in his heart, mutants are nobler than ordinary people. Only, what he wants to adopt is peaceful development. Increase the number of mutants, thus unknowingly allowing mutant to take over the world. Result now, the Asylum Council can actually make mutant lose its ability. How can this keep him from panicking? That Scranton Reality Anchor, what the hell is it? Kamar Taj, after seeing this scene, on the face of the Ancient One magician, also full of shock, in her mind, an extremely terrifying guess came to mind. Magneto's ability, the Containment Society can even make it disappear. So, what about magic? Essentially, magic is to borrow strength from other dimensions, to achieve various magical effects. And now, since even the mutant ability can be affected and disappeared, wouldn't that be magic? Thinking of this, on the face of the Ancient One magician, can't help showing a rare look of panic. This Containment Society is really powerful and frightening. At the same time, inside Base 17, the sound of the system sounded in Lin Yan's mind on time. Ding! Congratulations to the host. The transmission value has exceeded 1 trillion, and the transmission range has spread to multi-universe. The spread to the multi-universe. Hear the voice of the system in your head. Lin Yan couldn't help showing joy immediately. In the Marvel world, a multi-universe is a collection of countless individual universes. These single universes may have originally existed. Or maybe everyone in Marvel made different choices on different timelines, leading to different results. This is one of the origins of multi-universe. Definitely. Multi-universe. It is also very common in anomalous containment societies. Not to mention those who just pull out one, the supreme divinity above the multi-universe. There are some common anomaly containments. It is also possible to traverse multi-universes. 1437. It is a hole that can pass through the multi-universe. This hole cannot be destroyed by any means. Can only jump in from the hole. Simultaneously from the hole, and stuff from other universes pops up from time to time. Such as dirt, notes, gold plates, corpses and the like. Only, trying to get through the hole. Any life that reaches other universes will die. Even, in the records of the Abnormal Containment Committee. In this hole, the body of the uncle was also poured out. Yes, according to speculation, this mysterious hole. It is very possible to have the ability to kill the uncle. Definitely, this is just speculation, not really sure. Besides, and some unwilling plane hopper, it is also possible to pass through the multi-universe passively every 2, 3, for a period of time. At first, the Abnormal Containment Committee thought he was a teleportation ability. It was later confirmed that it can indeed traverse multi-universe. It's just that he is not under his own control, and he doesn't even know when he will time travel. There are many other anomalous containment items. And the Scranton Reality Anchor is also one of the representatives of the multi-universe. Its principle, it is to compare reality to the sand that is evenly distributed in all regions of the universe. Reality bender, it is to move these sands so that a certain area becomes thick or thin so as to achieve the purpose of distorting reality. And the role of the Scranton Reality Anchors, it is to twitch the reality of other universes and fill it into one's own universe. In this way, the effect of eliminating reality distortion is achieved. Lin Yan did not expect. It's just that it's so fast. The spread range can spread to the multi-universe. And at this time, the voice of the system in my mind sounded again. Ding! Congratulations to the host, the containment of the abnormal containment and the magic trick is easy to complete. You successfully obtained the spread value plus 2 trillion. You have successfully obtained the 3L level reality distortion ability, you have successfully obtained it. Hear these voices, Lin Yan couldn't help being overjoyed. 3 to 4 levels of reality bending ability. Don't look at it, it's just one level behind the 2 to 3 U level. But the gap is too great. Definitely a reality bending ability of a horrific degree. I didn't expect that this time the containment and the magic scheme were exchanged, and the benefits were so great. Then next, after thinking for a moment, Lin Yan's eyes suddenly brightened. At the same time, under the Pentagon that has become ruins. As the Containment Society's agents leave with the Scranton Reality Anchors, Magneto's abilities also gradually recovered. But the things obtained from the part that traded with Momoyi were naturally cleared away permanently. Feeling the gradual recovery of my abilities, Magneto breathed a sigh of relief. But his face was still full of horror. The sense of powerlessness of losing the ability in an instant is really terrifying. And even now that I have recovered my abilities, but just relying on the strange method of clearing the ability of the Containment Committee. Even if he recovers his abilities, but before the asylum, I'm afraid it's no different from ordinary old people. This shelter will never be provoked again in the future. He took a deep breath. Glancing at the surrounding SHIELD agents and guards, he decided to leave. Not far away, a group of SHIELD agents, still staring blankly at the direction in which the armed helicopter of the Containment Council left. Nick Fury was even more stunned in place. In the past, when SHIELD fights against those with abilities, relying on a large amount of intelligence, after analyzing the opponent's weaknesses, have to pay a very heavy price. It is possible to deal with it. Even had to rely on other supernatural beings. As a result, this shelter directly eliminate the opponent's abilities. Is it too simple and violent? If SHIELD had such a weapon, wouldn't it be really easy to fulfill the duties of SHIELD? Thinking of this, Nick Fury's eyes, immediately it became extremely hot. And since Magneto's ability, the Containment Committee can eliminate it. B. What about Team Firth? Stark Industrial Building. That thing is technology. Is this really something technology can do? Stark's face showed a strong color of self-doubt. Although the body is just an ordinary person, it is incomparable with those abnormalities. But regarding his IQ and learning time, Stark is still extremely confident. It is often even believed that I am the smartest person in the world. Those existences far beyond ordinary people, as well as those abnormal containment objects. He feels, most of them can rely on their own wisdom, develop targeted technological weapons, and then eliminate them. But when I saw Magneto control the magnetic force just now, he was immediately frightened. At that time he was sure. Magneto in this state is definitely not something that technology can solve. What technology can resist magnetism, one of the 4 fundamental forces? Result, the idea has not been born for a few seconds. He saw, the agents of the Abnormal Containment Society actually made Magneto's ability disappear. And what he relies on is actually his most confident technological weapon. He doesn't even know until now. How on earth did that thing do it? For a while, Stark's heart, there was a strong sense of frustration. It seems that in terms of technology, it is far inferior to this anomalous containment meeting. Asgard, what kind of weapon is this? Looking at the picture in the light curtain, Thor is taken aback. He was extremely shocked by the strength Magneto showed just now. As a result, in an instant, the ability will be eliminated by the abnormal containment. Doesn't that mean, if it does happen, Father Wrong will possibly be able to clear his ability? No. Impossible. That's just because he is immortal, and I am a god. Thor yelped in horror. He turned to Odin, but found, oh own omnipotent father. At this moment, he actually had a serious expression on his face. Time passed quickly. Soon, Nick Fury, all the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. returned to S.H.I.E.L.D. First timing, Nick Fury mobilized the most top experts in this field in the whole beautiful country. Pointing at the screenshot of the Scranton reality anchor, he said excitedly, "You are all the top scientists in the world, and now it has been confirmed that this thing is effective. I believe that with you, it will be able to imitate it. I can mobilize all authority for you and fully support you. As long as it can be imitated, no matter how much time and resources are spent." He talked on, and the more he talked, the more excited he was. But found nothing. Those scientists who were applied by him. After hearing his words, immediately, a foolish expression appeared on his face. Is Director Nick Fury crazy? Just relying on a screenshot, let them imitate such an ability-defying thing. Even if you tell them the complete drawing principle, they may not be able to imitate it. Quite a while, only one scientist couldn't help but interrupted, "Director Nick Fury. Don't take me with you if you brag, I can't do it." The other scientists also nodded. Nick Fury's excitement came to an abrupt end. Only then did he calm down. Wanting to imitate that thing, seems to be my own wishful thinking. He was just looking forward to it too much, so his head became hot. But, thinking of that thing instantly erased the effect of the Magneto ability. It still made him very hot inside. Such a powerful weapon is not from S.H.I.E.L.D. Perhaps try to contact the Anomalous Containment Society. No, it's obviously not going to work. Thought for a moment, Nick Fury couldn't help but said, "Then, can you use that weapon as a research direction in the future? After all, it has been proven that it can." Halfway through, Nick Fury stopped again. In case during the manufacturing process of that thing. How about some anomalous containment help? Then it will never be imitated by them. Several big players from the equipment department looked at each other. Immediately afterwards, one of the hesitation for a moment. He opened his mouth and said, "Director Nick Fury, if you want to deal with the mutant issue, maybe you don't need to bother so much. Trask Industries' second-generation Sentinel project has made a breakthrough, and the research and development has already begun to bear fruit. Maybe, it won't be long before it will be successfully developed." What? Nick Fury was taken aback. Sentinel is a project that has been implemented a long time ago. Its purpose is to fight against mutant. But progress has been modest. The first generation of Sentinels, although aggressive, but only, it can be regarded as an ordinary robot. There is no way to compare with mutant. And according to S.H.I.E.L.D.'s intelligence, Bolivar of Trask Industries, in a previous accident, Mystique's gene was obtained. So the second-generation Sentinel, it has already started to develop gradually. According to the description in the information, if this second generation of Sentinel is successfully developed, it can absorb all mutant abilities and evolve itself, a proper mutant nemesis. #5.0. Maybe it can be used against those anomalous containment objects. However, in the previous information, the research and development of the second-generation Sentinel was not very smooth, and there has been no much progress. Didn't expect to see progress now. But come to think of it, it should be the frequent occurrence of abnormal containments recently, which has put great pressure on the government of the beautiful country. This led to the accelerated development of Sentinel. The member of the equipment department said to himself, "Director Nick Fury, Sentinel is more powerful than you can imagine. Even if it is those abnormal containments, it is the Sentinel. A lizard that is said to be unkillable is definitely no match for Sentinel." Nick Fury froze for a moment. He has personally experienced the unstoppable nature of the indestructible lizard. Not only can't kill, on the contrary, it will become stronger and stronger. There is no solution at all. Where did they get their confidence? How dare you say such a thing? Or, so Sentinel, is it really that powerful? Just when Nick Fury was about to say something else, in the light curtain, suddenly it flickered again. Nick Fury immediately focused all his attention on it. Next moment, A new piece of written information was revealed on it. Top 10 Cognitive Hazardous Abnormal Containments and Reality Benders Inventory. The 5th place. Anomalous Thing Number 5239, a young Necromancer Magician. The level of this project is tentatively set as EU. A young Necromancer Magician. Seeing this name, the internet immediately exploded. What? The undead magician? Is it the undead magician in online games? Can you control the ability to control the undead? What if his abnormal ability is manipulating corpses? Wait a minute, I understand the truth, but why, this time, the adjective young is added in front of the abnormal containment? Undead magician. Then this time, compared with the sorcerer supreme that appeared last time, who is stronger? Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., all the agents couldn't help being stunned. Judging by the name, it's easy to guess. What is the general direction of the abnormal containment and abnormal characteristics of this inventory? The anomalous containment this time should belong to a reality bender, but Black Widow Natasha Romanoff stared at the data on the light curtain, eyes full of puzzlement. She is also very curious. Why did the abnormal containment items in this inventory add the adjective young and young? Euclid. Nick Fury breathed a sigh of relief. No matter what the abnormal characteristics of this Necromancer magician are, but since it was rated as EU by the Containment Council, it proves that it should not have too much malice towards human beings. Basically, there will be no great threat. Kamar Taj. Necromancer Magician. See the name. Surprise flashed in Ancient One Magician's eyes. Sound. The abnormal containment items counted this time turned out to be a magician. But, according to her understanding, undead magic, it's a type of dark magic. Those who know this kind of magic, the state of mind will be affected unconsciously, and it will become extremely dark. But the Containment Council rated him as Euclid. Ancient One Magician whispered. Her gaze gathered on the light curtain again. And at this time, light curtain, new information emerged. Description. Anomalous Containment 5239, appearance as a 16-year-old human from data expunged. Confirmed by the Containment Council, the object is a Class 3L reality bender. See this line of information. A look of doubt suddenly appeared on Ancient One's face. The abnormal trait is a reality bender, but according to her previous observations, reality bender and magic are two completely different concepts. Its ability is directly acting on reality, instead of using magic to change reality. Within their sphere of influence, reality benders are almost omnipotent. Absolutely no restrictions like magic. Whether it's trading with Momo. Still, not good enough. Almost anything can be done. Then this Necromancer magician. Why is it defined as a reality bender? Wait a minute. Muttered a few words. A look of shock suddenly appeared on Ancient One's face. She suddenly thought of a possibility. At this moment, new information emerged on the light curtain. However, this item can only display abnormal abilities when equipped with abnormal containment items 52391A to D. Anomaly Containment 52391A is a fictional Necronomicon, which contains many bad translations and self-described spells related to undead, including but not limited to soul divination, controlling corpses, and resurrection into a corpse. When not being used by Anomalous Containment 5239, this book shows no abnormalities at all. Necronomicon. If it is not used, it will not show any abnormality. See these materials. Ancient One was taken aback for a moment. There are many magic items of this type. After recognizing the Lord, only the owner can use it. In the case that its owner does not use it, it is no different from ordinary things. B. This is completely different from what she just thought. Could it be that I thought it was wrong before? What a magician can do is considered a reality bender in the eyes of the Containment Society. Ancient One magician stared at the light curtain, muttering to himself. S.H.I.E.L.D. All the agents immediately widened their eyes. Look at the above information. The abnormal containment of this inventory ability is actually exactly the same as the legendary undead magician ability. Necromancer magician. Nick Fury muttered in a low voice, frowning slightly. This magician, is it related to the sorcerer supreme in the mask last time? Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. Information on Kamar Taj is scant. But the last time the mask occupied the magician called Mordo, these magicians obviously didn't know much about those abnormal containments. Think here. Nick Fury's brow furrowed even tighter. Natasha Romanoff on the side couldn't help but look weird, a 16-year-old human boy. This really fits the characteristics of a young boy. TB. The source of his ability seems to be because of that book. Natasha Romanoff's eyes flickered, and she couldn't help muttering in a low voice. Otherwise, from this data, this necromancer magician seems to be just an ordinary boy. Anyway, Nick Fury breathed a sigh of relief, and said, the threat of this great necromancer magician is not very high. Even if this necromancer magician can control the corpse to become a zombie, it is only carbon-based. With the ferocity of modern weapons, zombies don't pose much of a threat at all. Stark Industrial Building. Looking at the data in the light curtain, Stark was shocked all of a sudden. This great necromancer magician can resurrect corpses. In his mind, suddenly, a vague figure appeared. According to the description in the data, wouldn't this necromancer magician be able to resurrect his father, Edward Stark? Thinking of this, Stark's eyes couldn't help but get hot. Even if it's just resurrection into a zombie, he is willing to. But the next moment, Stark smiled bitterly again. He looked at the light curtain again. And at this time, the information in the light curtain has been updated again. Anomalous containment items 52391B to E are a black robe, a pair of red contact lenses, a pair of black leather fingerless gloves, and a tube of black eyeliner, respectively. During testing, Anomalous Containment 5239 claimed that using these items would enhance its anomalous ability. However, when these entities are replaced by similar products, their performance hardly changes at all. See here, Stark's complexion suddenly became strange. How does it look? This big magician, the undead, was deceived. Even after replacing these props, his abilities can still be enhanced. Originally, he could do this, but he thought that he needed to rely on those props to strengthen himself. Kamar Taj, even if you replace these props, can you still strengthen your side? After seeing these materials, Ancient One magician was shocked. In the magic she knows, whether it is black magic or white magic. Indeed, there are various magical tools that can enhance one's own magical ability. But in the data, the necromancer magician thinks that these props are obviously not listed here. He must have been tricked. The Ancient One magician frowned and whispered. But the problem is, who is lying to him? What's the point of lying to him about this? Wait a minute. Sudden, the Ancient One magician was shocked. What if it's just what he thinks, so it becomes like this? She suddenly thought of her previous guess. Her earlier point was that reality benders are omnipotent within their area of influence and are not in the same category as magic. However, the information of this necromancer magician made her shake her previous guess. It is felt that magicians also fall under the category of what the Foundation considers to be reality benders. The source of the ability of this necromancer magician is because of this book. But now it seems that there may be another possibility. A reality bender is still fundamentally different from a magician. Only, the great undead magician thinks he is a great undead magician. And consider the source of your own ability. It was because of the Necronomicon. Under the influence of reality distortion. So he really became a necromancer magician. This will explain, why is the Necronomicon an ordinary book when it is not used by him? It doesn't matter why those props that he thinks can enhance his abnormal ability are replaced. Backquote, the source of all abnormalities is what he thinks. The Ancient One magician stared at the screen and sighed deeply. If her deduction is correct, the abilities of these reality benders are too terrifying. Especially this necromancer magician. There is no, not good enough, before, and instructions are needed to change the reality to a certain extent. His limitation lies in his own cognition. And knowing this thing is really easy to break through. Ancient One magician, take a deep breath. Look again at the last piece of data that emerged on the light curtain. Dr. Data Expunged believes that the source of the abnormal characteristics of this item is the supreme divinity Data Expunged. See here, the Ancient One magician was stunned again. Asgard, the supreme divinity again. Odin's pupils shrank suddenly, and he couldn't help but exclaimed. Immediately, a thought popped into his mind. The devourer of worlds who was in the gate of another world last time. Such a powerful existence. They are all suspected to be just projections of the supreme divinity. And the source of the abnormal characteristics of this necromancer magician is very likely to come from the supreme divinity. Moreover, necromancy, the abnormal characteristics of the master are obviously not of the same type as the devourer of worlds. So, the Foundation's so-called supreme divinity may not be a certain one, but a group. Odin looked at the light curtain in shock. And at this time, the data in the light curtain disappears. Zhao knew how the figure of Dr. Banner appeared in the picture of the light curtain. New York in the other direction. Look at the picture in the light curtain. A bitter look appeared on Dr. Banner's face. He just wants to live in peace. Why did we encounter anomalous containment again? What's the matter? Why did I meet again? Wait a minute. But the next moment, he was taken aback suddenly. The picture in the light curtain doesn't seem to be where he is. Screen. His figure descended from the sky, smashing the roof of an ancient building to pieces. Dr. Banner suddenly looked confused. Kamar Taj. After seeing this scene, the Ancient One magician was also stunned. Because the place Dr. Banner smashed in the picture is the church built by Kamar Taj in New York. And this scene, in the future she saw with Eye of Agamotto before, it did happen, Faith, but it will happen a long time later. Is this the future, or? The Ancient One magician stared at the light curtain and couldn't help exclaiming, what happened in another universe? As a sorcerer supreme, she naturally knows everything about the multi-universe. Is it possible, the abnormal containment of this inventory gold appeared in the 10th universe? Play. Thinking of this, the gaze of the Ancient One can't help but search in the light curtain. But the next moment, after seeing the picture in the light curtain, her pupils shrank suddenly. A ray of terror, it pops up in her eyes. In the picture of the light curtain. After Dr. Banner fell into New York holy place, only to find that there is no one in this majestic holy place. Only Dr. Strange's robes, flying alone in midair. Seeing this scene, Ancient One couldn't help but look at the stunned Strange behind him. A look of panic appeared on his face. That robe, destined to be the personal weapon of the future Sorcerer Supreme, it should be inseparable. But in the picture, why are they separated from Strange? Could it be Strange at that time? What happened? But in the future I have seen, there is no such thing at all. And at this time, in the picture of the light curtain, Dr. Banner showed doubts and walked out of the holy place. But found, there was also no one on the street. The whole of New York, as if there was no one there. It's eerily quiet. Seeing this scene, the internet immediately exploded. What? I'm on this street right now. There are so many people, why is there no one there? It's fake. What's the situation? I'm also near here, obviously there are a lot of people now. Wait a minute, isn't it? The world shown in the light curtain this time is not our world. Is it another planet, but it is very similar to the Earth. But these buildings and streets are all exactly the same. And, the person in the picture is also the one who became Hulk when we took stock of Kane last time. Shit, what's going on here? My head hurts, I feel like I'm going to grow my brain. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. After seeing this scene, all agents. There was also a moment of bewilderment. The street in the picture. Obviously New York, but it's not a live broadcast right now. Oh shit, this live broadcast, what the hell is going on? Nick Fury couldn't help but cursed. Judging from the ability demonstrated by the Foundation before, every picture that appears in the light curtain 570 is broadcast live in real time. Foundation is completely unnecessary. Fake it on this. So, what the hell is going on? Sudden, a thunder flashed in Nick Fury's mind. A look of shock suddenly appeared on his face. Could this be the future? Or, parallel universes? Immediately afterwards, he showed an even more shocked expression. But, how do these Foundations know? Could it be that the Foundation has been able to involve the future, or other universes? Thinking of this possibility, Nick Fury suddenly became numb. He originally thought he had overestimated the Foundation enough. But did not expect, still underestimated, and at this time, in the screen of the light curtain, two beams of light suddenly lit up. Then you see, two figures, one big and one small, appeared in front of Dr. Banner. It is clear, these two figures are human beings. It's an alien race. See, Dr. Banner immediately slapped himself in the face, trying to summon the Hulk. Hulk, come out, quick, no. However, all he could hear was a Hulk's roar coming from inside his body. Immediately afterwards, transformation was forced to terminate. Seeing this scene, a corner of New York, a strange look suddenly appeared on Banner's face. It looks like Hulk seems to be beaten again. Because at first, this is what Hulk looked like when he was beaten by Kane. And Hulk should have been more afraid of Kane at the time. Don't even dare to roar. Huddled in the body, don't even dare to show your will. The Hulk in the picture is better, but not much better. What's going on in this picture? Dr. Banner was dumbfounded. I saw in the picture of the light curtain. That big guy doesn't dare to come out. Hee. That relatively small figure taunted Dr. Banner there. But the next moment, an aperture of a portal AICF appeared from behind that figure. Immediately afterwards, a red mechanical arm appeared from the portal. Boom. Next moment, laser shot that little figure. He was directly killed by the laser and fell to the ground. Then you see, a figure in red armor, out against the light, appeared on the screen. The two figures, one big and one small, almost instantly, just get killed by a laser shot from the warframe. Seeing this scene, a look of disbelief suddenly appeared on Stark's face. Because this battle is exactly the same design style as his Mark armor. Definitely, compared with his current armor, it looks much more advanced. Could it be? A possibility comes to mind. Stark's eyes suddenly showed excitement. Then he looked at the screen carefully. Finally, he is sure. This person is me. After reaching a conclusion, Stark suddenly became very excited. No matter in this picture, it is the future or the parallel universe. Have proved. His line is not wrong. You can completely rely on technology. Become not at all weaker than those with powers. Even outrun and kill them. Thinking of this, Stark immediately stared at the screen intently, and analyzed, I really am a real teacher. This armor can still be like this. What kind of technology? It's a bit like nanotechnology. I'm really too strong. But more analysis, a narcissistic smile appeared on his face involuntarily. But soon, the smile on Stark's face froze, and he couldn't help frowning slightly. Because, in the picture of the light curtain, after killing those figures, the armored figure did not reach Dr. Banner. 2. He squatted directly in front of the corpses that had just been killed. What is this doing? Stark frowned. That doesn't fit at all. Oh shit. What the hell is this doing? On the screen of the light curtain, figure in armor, actually tearing the flesh of those corpses. It seems that I want to eat those days. Vomit. Stark suddenly felt uncomfortable in his brain, and couldn't help but vomited directly. No, it's definitely not me. Someone must have stolen my armor. Then, he resolutely comforted himself. But it's not over yet. He stopped, because in the screen, the figure under the armor revealed half of Stark's face. The remaining half, it's been eaten right away. And, even the remaining half of the face is full of carrion. It looks like zombies. Stark's pupils shrank suddenly. Frightened color instantly covered his face. How did you become a zombie? And at this time, the phone rang suddenly, and then Colonel Rhodes vomited. You. Stark, you are too you, so disgusting you. Online, after seeing this scene, the pot exploded directly. What? That man is Stark. That suit of armor on him is so handsome. But how did he become like this? Hashtag oh my god. Could this be the legendary zombie? This is too frightening. It's a good thing that this TM didn't actually happen on Earth. But why? The Foundation wants to show this kind of video. I'm eating beef sashimi, just show me this. Ah. Is there a possibility that this is the Earth, but not our Earth? Kamar Taj. This, what the hell is going on here? On the face of the Ancient One magician, he couldn't help showing a look of panic. In the future she sees, Stark for the future, is of vital importance. But whatever future she sees, even if Thanos successfully achieves his ideal future, Stark has never been a zombie. But now, in the screen of the light curtain, this scene actually happened. Is it true or not? Ancient One magician couldn't help but doubt in his heart. But at the next moment, she was taken aback again. She suddenly thought, even if you use the Eye of Agamotto by yourself, it is impossible for the Foundation and those abnormal containments to be calculated. This Stark turned into a zombie. Is it because of the Foundation? Or the fact that those anomalous containments emerged? Etc. Thinking of this, the Ancient One magician was taken aback suddenly. She suddenly thought, the abnormal containment items counted this time. 5239 Necromancer magician. Possessed abnormal ability. The next moment, her complexion couldn't help turning pale. Shield, zombies, this thing actually exists. Hiss, isn't this too bloody? This really seems to be Stark. No, I can't help it, you. All agents, in seeing the light curtain, Stark took a bite. After eating the flesh and blood of the two alien creatures, immediately, he couldn't help but turn pale. This scene. It's really visually impactful. Even if they have received professional training, they can't help it now. Nick Fury also felt his stomach rolling. Quite a while. Only then did he resist the impulse in his heart and continued to look at the picture in the light curtain. His brows were furrowed. What exactly is going on? Etc. Sudden. Nick Fury was taken aback. Then, he suddenly looked at the abnormal containment data that was recorded by the SHIELD agent this time. Next moment, an amazing idea was born in Nick Fury's mind. He couldn't help but shrink his pupils. And this time, in the picture of the light curtain, original, Stark is feasting. As if he had received an order, he stopped eating. Two bodies were left with most of them still intact. Then, looking into the light curtain, Dr. Banner visibly startled. Drive Banner, Zombie Stark spoke, only. Because a part of his throat was missing, his voice was a bit leaky. Inside the Stark Industrial Building, Little Pepper glanced at the pale Stark next to him. Take a deep breath silently. Then take a few steps away. Stark's face. It's also white and blue. It's so engaging. Stark, in the screen of the light curtain. After hearing Stark's words, Dr. Banner suddenly asked in disbelief. Banner. Zombie Stark's wind-breaking voice sounded again. Come, join us, join this real evolution and become the most perfect. The last two words, because of the lack of a throat, I really can't say it. Perfect. The Banner in the picture is even more confused. But he couldn't help asking, what perfection? What evolution? He felt that Stark seemed to have the original consciousness. But it seems that it is no longer the original Stark. And this time, he saw, those two were already dead. Even the body defected most of Ebony Maw with Thanos' son Thion. At this moment, he stood up unsteadily. Screen. Banner's pupils shrank suddenly. Feelings of extreme fear. Even through the light curtain, everyone can perceive it. Same time, from the shadow of the corner, a handsome figure in a black robe. Get out slowly. The figure in the black robe looks very thin. Wearing a red contact lens on his face, his hands were wrapped in black leather fingerless gloves, and he was holding a black stick in his hand. Seeing this figure, everyone exploded immediately. Wait, fake. This image, isn't that the Necromancer magician that the Foundation just took stock of? Hashtag oh my god, Necromancer magician showing up so soon. And he will control corpses. Wait a minute. It's crazy. The Foundation's information didn't say that he can control zombies. Wait, zombies seem to belong to corpses, so it doesn't seem to be a problem. If you look at it this way, this big magician is too scary. 1. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. After seeing the figure of the Necromancer magician really appearing, all S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, they all looked at each other in blank dismay. The Necromancer big magician can even control zombies. But it seems, zombies are indeed corpses, and it is not difficult to understand being controlled by them. Wait a minute, Natasha Romanoff suddenly showed panic. Asked, could it be that Stark and them turned into zombies? Is it caused by the Necromancer magician? Hearing this speculation, the entire S.H.I.E.L.D. suddenly fell silent. Spooky atmosphere. Immediately, it spread to everyone in S.H.I.E.L.D. And Nick Fury is staring at Kamar Taj. It really is the reason for this abnormal containment. Seeing the figure of the great magician of the Necromancer. Even if there is speculation. But Ancient One magician still couldn't help taking a deep breath. Zombie Stark is probably controlled by this Necromancer magician. No, maybe even the zombies of that universe. It's all from him. But, isn't the Foundation's evaluation of the Necromancer's magician EU level? How could they do such a thing? Ancient One couldn't help murmuring. And at this time, in the picture of the light curtain, after the figure of the Necromancer magician appeared, Zombie Stark, and Zombie Ebony Maw, Zombie Scion. With its mouth wide open, dragging its crippled body, it rushes madly inside. Banner's face suddenly showed horror. Next moment, he was directly bitten by 3 zombies. The 3 zombies clearly had a desire for flesh and blood on their faces, but they all stopped after only 1 bite. Hiss. Oh no, Stark, Banner screamed in pain. Immediately afterwards, his consciousness gradually faded away. But next moment, roar, a majestic roar suddenly sounded. Then you see, Banner's body keeps growing. It seems that another personality named Hulk couldn't help rushing out, wanting to occupy this body. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., after seeing this scene, but Nick Fury's eyelids couldn't help twitching, and he said palely in horror, "Wait a minute, it won't be." On the screen of the light curtain, Hulk's body emerged instantly. However, unlike before, this time Hulk, the body is gray and white. And Hulk's pupils are also gray. Obviously. After Banner was bitten by zombies, even if Hulk's personality takes over the body, but still can't escape the fate of becoming a zombie. Roar, Hulk growled, and at this moment, the book in the hand of the Necromancer magician suddenly floated up. Immediately afterwards, a difficult incantation, read from the mouth of the great Necromancer magician, "Touch me." Next moment, Hulk stopped roaring. In its cloudy eyes, there seemed to be a little more clarity. "Hulk." There seemed to be some doubts in its hoarse voice. "Your name is Hulk, isn't it? Now, follow me." At this moment, the great Necromancer magician said. Immediately afterwards, Hulk didn't have any hesitation, and followed behind the Necromancer magician. Corner of New York. After seeing the scene where I was bitten, Dr. Banner's face suddenly became extremely ugly. The real thing is like. It's like being bitten. Hulk. Can also be infected into zombies. Dr. Banner's voice trembled a little. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., after seeing the scene where the zombie Hulk was ordered, Nick Fury's pupils shrank suddenly. His face instantly turned pale. No, he actually can. He had seen the information of the Necromancer magician before. I don't think the threat of the great magician from the dead is too high. Because even if the corpse can be resurrected and controlled, but in the face of modern thermal weapons, no matter how many zombies there are, they are just a pile of meat. If he can control the zombies that people with different abilities turn into, that would be a completely different situation. Among other things, let's say the Hulk that Dr. Banner turned into, hot weapons can't kill at all. If such an existence becomes a zombie and is controlled, how can humans resist it? And, on Earth, there are more than these few people with different abilities. Thinking of this, Nick Fury couldn't help but look at the light curtain again. However, next, the look of horror on his face was even worse. See, in the picture of the light curtain, Stark 4 zombies follow closely behind the great magician of the dead spirit. And, as the journey gets farther and farther, there are more and more zombies following him. He quickly noticed a familiar face among the zombie crowd. Zombie Captain America. Seeing myself like this inside S.H.I.E.L.D., Captain America's expression suddenly became extremely ugly. If it happened, I would definitely kill myself first before becoming like this, Captain America whispered in his heart. And this time, Necromancer Big Magician, with a group of zombies, they came to a concentration camp with huge amounts of sea. In this concentration camp surrounded by iron fences, densely packed at the moment, all zombies, but, unlike ordinary zombies, these zombies seem to still retain some sense of self. At least, they all know themselves and each other. Seeing this scene, the internet exploded in an instant. #Oh my god, what's going on? So many zombies. This is the whole world, have they all turned into zombies? This is too scary. This is really another level of ruling the earth. At first, I thought that the Necromancer magician was nothing compared to the previous abnormal containment, but now it seems that it is so terrifying. Fortunately, this thing didn't really appear on the earth, or it didn't appear on our earth. Actually, it's not impossible to become a zombie. Look at these zombies, they seem to have their own consciousness. It's equivalent to changing the way of life, but it's just a bit ugly. Xavier Ability Academy. including Professor X and Wolverine. All mutant faces, all extremely ugly, because, in the screen that just appeared, all mutants have become zombies and appear in it. Even Omega-level mutants are no exception. The ability of this Necromancer magician is too terrifying, right? Professor X said in horror. It is simply among all the abnormal containments currently counted, one of the most visually stunning. Kamar Taj. The Ancient One magician also looked at the light curtain with a solemn expression. These zombies are not her figure, because by this time, she was already dead. But, whether Lord Mordo, or Strange, or the King, everyone except her has become a zombie. Sorcerer Supreme. Is this what you said, becoming the future of Sorcerer Supreme? Strange pointed at his half-body in the light curtain, and his voice trembled. During this time, Ancient One magician has been using various methods to try to make him accept the established route and become the next Sorcerer Supreme. He was already very moved, and agreed immediately. Result: just saw this. Become a Sorcerer Supreme, but also become a zombie. Strange shivered, and quickly refused. Then, Stark Industrial Building. Stark pointed at the broken figure of the zombie Rhodes in the light curtain, and made a phone call directly. Rods. You are more disgusting than me. You. Shield. Stark. Dr. Banner. Drive Pym. Mutant. There are also Doctor Strange and Mordo magician who appeared in the inventory video before. The moment the screen appears, all S.H.I.E.L.D. agents fell into shock and fear. In their S.H.I.E.L.D. profile, all the different abilities that have appeared, they all turned into zombies. After seeing this horrific scene, Nick Fury couldn't help but yell. His whole body couldn't help shaking. To control so many different abilities. The Necromancer magician. I am afraid that conquering the entire Earth will be easy. Fortunately, he still felt that the magician of the Necromancer was weak in combat. Is this weak in combat power? Asgard, looking at what appeared in the light curtain. That tide of zombies. In the eyes of Odin. Immediately, there was a hint of panic. His eyes searched frantically. A moment later, Odin breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, no one from Asgard is inside. And Thor on the side. But he was so frightened that he couldn't help shaking. I'm not in there. Thor took a deep breath. Then he forced a smile and said in a low voice, this Necromancer is a big magician, most likely he won't be able to affect God. However, the next moment, his smile froze. See. In the picture of the light curtain. On the earth. A colorful light suddenly flickered. Immediately afterwards, Thor's figure appeared on the earth. Before Thor could speak, a wave of zombies rushed towards him in an instant. Just for a moment, Thor has also become a broken zombie. Seeing this scene, Thor's pupils shrank suddenly, and his face was instantly filled with horror. God can also be infected into zombies. And where is my hair and hammer? Why are they gone? Odin glanced at him, and did not speak. Thor's mentality is not enough to take on the great responsibility of Asgard, he still needs to grow up. Odin sighed silently, but I have to admit. See the screen. Thor was also taken aback by how quickly he had been infected into a zombie. But as a god king, it's just a surprise. He shook his head. Look at the light curtain again. Next moment, after seeing the picture in the light curtain, his pupils couldn't help shrinking. A look of horror instantly filled his entire face. I couldn't help but uttered in horror. No. How is this possible? In the picture of the light curtain, not long after Thor is also bitten into a zombie, a huge amounts of spaceship suddenly hovered over the Earth. Immediately afterwards, Thanos, who has brought the power gem and the space gem to the gauntlet, get off the ship slowly. Inside Kamar Taj, seeing this scene, the Ancient One magician couldn't help but sigh immediately. Sure enough, every time there is an abnormal containment, the future will be changed. In the future she sees, Thanos should have collected all 5 gems before descending to Earth. But now, with these zombie heroes, and the appearance of the great magician of the Necromancer, it actually caused Thanos to come early. In the picture of the light curtain, Ebony Maw and Thane, why did they die here just after they arrived? Thanos stepped off the spaceship. Look around. There was a look of doubt in his eyes. According to his plan, he should now go to nothingness, get the reality gem from Collector. But just now, inexplicably, a strong uneasiness arose in his heart. And then, he sensed the death of Ebony Maw and Scion. So Thanos decided, change your plans, come to Earth first. And get the Mind Gem. Find out what the reason for your uneasiness just now is. However, just got off the ship, Thanos saw a group of superheroes who have been completely transformed into zombies are looking at themselves. Eyes full of greed and hunger. It's like watching prey. Seeing this scene, Thanos was stunned. Was he considered prey? And even Ebony Maw and Scion are in it. Ebony Maw, Scion, aren't you dead? Why are you still here? Thanos' heart, the feeling of uneasiness intensified. Ho, Hulk. At this moment, Zombie Hulk roared and swooped straight at Thanos. It's that big green guy again. Thanos frowned slightly. With a wave of his hand, the power gem on the glove burst into purple light. Hulk is no match for him without using the power gem. Not to mention the use of power gems now. Next moment, Hulk was directly thrown back heavily. Thanos' eyes turned to the other zombies. However, to his surprise, the remaining zombies, instead of noticing the fear, instead, he rushed towards him crazily. What's the situation? Thanos was stunned. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. Looking at the content on the light curtain. Nick Fury's terrified gaze. But it gradually became weird. These zombies, when attacking this purple sweet potato, not as stupid as he imagined, swarming up. There are even tactics. And what surprised Nick Fury the most was, they don't appear to be under the direct command of the Necromancer magician. Appears to be a zombie Stark. There is also the zombie Dr. Pym who commanded the battle. If you ignore the appearance of the zombies, just like when they were still alive, hardly any difference. Wait, what's going on? Nick Fury was dumbfounded, but suddenly, there was a sudden shock in his mind. In the information of Necromancer magician, seems to say, dead bodies can be brought back to life. And not just pure control. Could it be that these zombies are not caused by him? Then what's going on? Thinking of this, Nick Fury's head suddenly became dizzy. Wait a minute, what did he think of? Eyes widened suddenly. What if this zombie doesn't come from the Necromancer magician, but Stark and the others regain consciousness because of the Necromancer magician? After all, zombies can also be regarded as brain dead. So to speak, is it possible that the Necromancer magician is the zombie who saved that universe? In this case, it can explain why the Foundation's classification of the Necromancer magician is Euclid level. But this way, also cannot explain, how did the zombies appear? More cannot explain, why did Zombie Stark tell Dr. Banner to join them and get evolution? In the eyes of Nick Fury, a look of deep confusion flashed across. In the picture of the light curtain, although Thanos has the blessing of strength and space retention, which is extremely good. But the number of zombies is too much. And he is not afraid of pain, and he is well versed in combat. Soon, Thanos couldn't hold on anymore. Finally, after desperately killing dozens of zombie superheroes, Thanos was swarmed by a group of zombies and fell to the ground. After a short while, Thanos with half of his head eaten off. Eye sockets are full of gray and stood up. In his glove, the two jewels of strength and space, blooming with dazzling luster. Then, he looked in the direction of the undead magician, bowing his head. ... Kamar Taj. No. That's impossible. How is that possible? In the eyes of the Ancient One magician, in an instant, he was filled with panic. In the part of the future she sees, Thanos as the biggest threat besides Dormammu. Even strong enough, it is necessary to go to other timelines with the help of gems to eliminate the threat caused by Thanos. Result now, Thanos is also directly a zombie. This future is ruined. And, or Thanos with the power and the space gem, can't resist turning into a zombie. Can't resist the control of the Necromancer magician. And, in her guess, this is because the Necromancer is a great magician, and his own cognition limits his abnormal ability. Otherwise, I'm afraid it will be even stronger. Reality bender. Is it really that outrageous? Or, there is another part of the reason why the Necromancer magician is so powerful. Is it because of the supreme divinity whose name has been deleted from which his anomalous properties originated? She couldn't help looking at the light curtain worriedly. And now, in the picture of the light curtain, after being infected into a zombie, Thanos, and all the zombie heroes, together with the Necromancer magician, On that spaceship again. Quick. The huge spaceship went to the void. Soon, under the baptism of zombie Thanos and zombie heroes, everyone in the void, and the group of Guardians of Galaxy who just arrived, and all were bitten, infected into zombies. Cosmic starry sky. On the spaceship, look at yourself, and the scene where the collector becomes a zombie. Xingju and the others suddenly felt a chill. Is this fake? Even if I personally passed the indescribable person I met before. But they still couldn't believe the scene they saw. My first reaction was that it was fake. It's not fair. Xingju suddenly shouted. Why are they still intelligent and able to think when they become zombies? And if we become zombies, are we really just zombies? Quote. Gamora looked at Xing Lord in a daze. It seems that Xingju's focus is always so different. Yes. Rocket Raccoon stared at the screen, and suddenly said, and even on that planet, that Necromancer magician only demarcated a part of the area. Those intelligent zombies have never been too far away from the Necromancer magician. Pointing at the light curtain, he analyzed excitedly, so, his abnormal ability probably has a range of influence. But even so, that abnormal ability is really scary. After all, although the control of the Necromancer magician has a scope of influence, the zombie virus does not have a scope of influence. And at this time, on the screen of the light curtain, after pocketing the reality gem, zombie Thanos boarded the spaceship again. Go to the next planet 0. If you ignore the appearance of his zombie. What he did, under normal circumstances, hardly any difference. Asgard. After seeing this scene, Thor, who had just recovered from the scene of becoming a zombie, immediately stunned again. After a long time, he just pulled out a smile and said, fortunately, Asgard has not been infected. With you here, Father, he doesn't even dare to look for Asgard. Upon hearing this, Odin couldn't help but sneak a glance at him. Thanos didn't find Asgard. I'm afraid that when this happens, throughout Asgard, all have been destroyed by the prophesied Ragnarok. And the self at that time, I'm afraid he would have died a long time ago, I don't know how long. But, for these, Odin did not explain, but turned his head. Continued to look at the light curtain. That zombie virus. Like a plague, it spread rapidly. Inexplicable. Odin's mind, the figure of the doctor with the bird's beak that was counted before emerged. He always feels. This Necromancer magician is somewhat similar to Dr. Bird's beak. But estimated, this is just my guess. From this ability point of view, the threat posed by the Plague Doctor is simply incomparable to that of the Necromancer magician. However, I don't know if this zombie crisis is considered a plague in the mouth of the Plague Doctor. S.H.I.E.L.D. After seeing this scene, all the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. froze instantly. Crazy? Are you crazy? The expression on Nick Fury's face was completely numb. He still felt that he underestimated the Necromancer magician just now. Shocked that he controlled all the zombies and ruled the earth. As a result, the next second, TM zombie infection range. Has it spread beyond the earth? So go on. The whole universe can't be messed up. No one can escape the fate of being swept by the tide of zombies. In other words, that whole universe, maybe it will become the territory of that undead magician. This TM, it was countless times more terrifying than I imagined. In this situation, even if Firth encounters it, I'm afraid. Nick Fury's eyelids twitched. Moments later, he just let out a foul breath. This Necromancer magician. Why is it so powerful? Also, is the source of these zombies really him? After sighing several times, Nick Fury looked at the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents who were still in shock and fear. He opened his mouth to comfort and said, "What are you afraid of? This thing didn't happen to us. If they were in other universes, we would never encounter them in our lifetime." The voice just fell. Light curtain. As soon as the screen turns. In a laboratory of the spacecraft. Zombie Stark, Zombie Dr. Pym, and a group of top scientists who have been transformed into zombies are surrounding a machine. Like, what are you researching? Seeing this scene. All faces. They couldn't help being weird. Is this what zombies are supposed to do? And the other side of the screen. Necromancer Big Magician. But he sat blankly by the side, looking at the model of the Earth. The expression on his face seems to be a little melancholy. Hiss. At this moment, Zombie Stark's mouth made an intermittent hoarse voice. There are other universes. Hear this sentence. Suddenly, S.H.I.E.L.D. fell silent. Nick Fury's expression also froze immediately. There are other universes inside S.H.I.E.L.D. After hearing this sentence, all the agents were suddenly taken aback. Unbelievable look instantly covered every agent's face. Just now, what did Zombie Stark say? And multi-universe. How did he find out? And why did he say that suddenly? Guessed a possibility. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., it was quiet in an instant. Everyone, immediately, he didn't even dare to take a breath. Nick Fury's pupils also shrank suddenly. Judging from the contents of the previous screen. Zombie Stark them. The reason why a part of wisdom can be recovered. It is because of the abnormal characteristics of the Necromancer magician. So, Zombie Stark and Zombie Dr. Pym. Research multi-universe. It must also be because of the arrangement of the Necromancer magician. So, his purpose, what the hell? Is it to make those zombies? Invasion into other multi-universes. Infect the zombie virus to other multi-universe. So that you can control one multi-universe after another. In Nick Fury's mind, the idea popped up almost instantly. And it seems, this is the only reasonable explanation. He looked into the light curtain. From the faces of those zombies, there was a sense of hunger. Instantly broke out in cold sweat. He was still comforting himself just now. This is basically what happened in another universe. It can't affect them anyway. As a result, the next second, these zombies started to mention, even want to invade other multi-universes. If it's just ordinary people transformed into zombies, then Nick Fury has self-confidence, and it is impossible to cause much crisis at all. Just in the picture, those zombies with different abilities that appeared, and wisdom, perfectly obeyed the orders of the Necromancer magician. If it appeared on the Earth in their universe, Earth will soon fall. But, how could they get along? Nick Fury couldn't help mumbling to himself. And Natasha Romanoff on the side. The eyes are locked on the picture of the light curtain. The Necromancer magician had that rather melancholy look just now. She always feels. The Necromancer big magician. The purpose of studying multi-universe is not to invade other multi-universes. Even his purpose, not about infecting that multi-universe with zombies. How he felt for Natasha Romanoff. Just like an ordinary teenager. Look again, the zombies around the Necromancer who have recovered part of their consciousness. An idea, suddenly it was born in Natasha Romanoff's mind. Then what if, this zombie crisis is not caused by this Necromancer magician? Natasha Romanoff's heart skipped a beat. If, the Necromancer magician, just let these people who have already become zombies recover part of their minds. But, at least behind the Hulk, with Collector their infection. But it was really completed under the behest of the Necromancer magician. Thinking of this, Natasha Romanoff's eyes, immediately, he couldn't help becoming a little confused. Etc. Suddenly, Natasha Romanoff froze. Then she repeated the video she had just recorded and watched it several times. Only then did he take a deep breath. It seems that the Necromancer magician makes these zombies actively infected objects. They are all very wise or powerful people. Dr. Banner, Stark, Dr. Pym. What the hell is he trying to do? Natasha Romanoff frowned. Asgard. After hearing what the zombie Stark said, Odin's face also changed drastically. In the picture just now. But even Thor can be infected. It proves that Asgard people will also be infected. He figured it out. If those zombies really invaded this universe, Ragnarok was afraid that he would be aroused by this zombie frenzy in an instant. Kamar Taj. Multi-universe. On the face of the Ancient One magician. It also showed a dignified look. As an Asgardian in the Earth dimension, she is naturally extremely sensitive to these things. But, really let these zombies invade the Earth. Don't say it's her. Even a few more Sorcerer Supremes can't resist it. Even she doubts. If all this really happens, I'm afraid that I will be infected and become a zombie at that time. This undead magician, and these zombies, are even more threatening than Dormammu. She couldn't help looking at the picture in the light curtain, and sighed silently. The anomalous ability of these reality benders. Ability is simply outrageous. But, Ancient One raised his head again, looking at the face of the Necromancer magician. Wei Wei was a little puzzled. Although the zombie crisis is raging in that universe, even researching other parallel universe things are coming. But, She looked into the face of the great magician of the Necromancer. But I never felt the slightest evil from above. And, for the anomalous containment with such a powerful anomalous ability, the Foundation ratings are just Euclid 2. And proves that he should not be evil. It can even be described as kindness. What exactly is going on? On the face of the Ancient One. Can't help but reveal the color of doubt. Inside Site 17 base. Congratulations. You have successfully popularized the abnormal containment object 5239. Acquire spread value plus 300 billion. You have obtained corpse control, hash. Hear the voice in your head. Lin Yan immediately nodded in satisfaction. The zombie crisis in the multi-universe was naturally not caused by the Necromancer. That was originally a universe where mistakes occurred and zombie viruses were produced. And, if there is no Necromancer magician, those superheroes infected into zombies, also driven by inner hunger, spread the zombie virus to the entire universe. And the Necromancer big magician, but with his own abnormal characteristics, controlling the zombies within his sphere of influence, and restore their wisdom and memory during their lifetime. And under the control of the Necromancer magician, the spread of the zombie virus is targeted. In other words, the emergence of the great magician of the Necromancer. On the contrary, it also suppresses the spread of the zombie virus. In a sense, it saved the lives of other races in that universe. As for the zombie Stark just said to Banner, join the evolution. It was just the instruction of a certain sophomore boy. Yes, Necromancer big magician, apart from the reality-bending abilities of the 3rd and 4th levels. Psychologically, it's just a middle school boy who was forced to run away from home by his parents. In the interview records of the Foundation, he was so stubborn that he wanted to stay in the Foundation, and refused to go home anyway. And at this moment, in Lin Yan's mind, the system's voice sounded again. Ding! Congratulations to the host, you will get an extra reward, Abnormal Containment Object 008-Zombie Virus. Congratulations to the host, additional rewards, Abnormal Containment 500 Panacea. Lin Yan was stunned. Good guy, just finished counting the Necromancer magician. He actually rewarded him with the zombie virus. In the Foundation's documentation, this Abnormal Containment 008 is the well-known zombie virus. After being infected, after experiencing a short-term high fever and dementia for 12 hours, you will directly fall into a coma. Then, it will be transformed into a zombie without any consciousness in a very short time. Functions in the body. There will also be unimaginable changes. As long as the brain is not broken down to 95%, even if all other organs are dead, they will not die. And even without a source of nutrition, they can survive for decades. Only, the body will be dominated by hunger. Thought for a moment. Lin Yan directly stored this Abnormal Containment Object 008 in another G2 site. Then, very strict orders were issued. Any personnel performing containment and guarding tasks must keep in touch at all times. Report the situation every once in a while. At the same time, anyone leaving the site is to be quarantined for 4 months. No way, this anomalous containment is really too dangerous. In particular, this is still the Marvel world. Lin Yan himself is not sure. This zombie virus, will it be like the virus in the zombie universe? Even Thanos, who holds the gem, even Galactus, one of the 5 gods, can be infected. Wait, maybe. The zombie virus in the zombie universe came from this thing. Lin Yan was taken aback suddenly. The zombie virus of the zombie universe. There are 2 sources. One is if the universe is brought out from the quantum realm by Dr. Pym. The second is that in the comic zombie universe, Magneto got it by accident. But, whatever it is, its true source, but no one knows. Then, Lin Yan looked towards another reward. A bottle of red pills in a small jar. Compared with the zombie virus, Anomaly Containment 500 is really good stuff. After taking 1 tablet, can cure all diseases. Even the hazards caused by the contained objects can be eliminated. Even the most advanced zombie virus can be cured. In the previous video of inventorying Jingmin, the doctor who was infected by the crystal vine was safe and sound only after taking a panacea. Only, this thing is very much in demand. The Foundation tried various methods, but failed to synthesize it. So in the Foundation, personnel below level 4 cannot use it at all. Even for personnel above level 4. Application report is required. It can't be used until it is approved. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. After a brief panic, all agents, still in the first time, he acted directly. Director Nick Fury, look at these zombies, they are never too far away from the Necromancer magician. Don't tell me the basis, just tell me the result of your inference. Our inference is that this Necromancer's control over zombies is limited in scope. He cannot control all zombies infinitely. Moreover, based on the analysis of the information released by the Foundation, the zombie virus should not come from the Necromancer magician. Intelligence report. Nick Fury nodded instantly. Based on previous experience, when the Foundation releases information, that will announce all the abilities of the contents. And after the panic, calm down analysis, he found, compared with those abnormal containments before, the Necromancer magician doesn't seem to be very threatening. The reason why in the video just now, he behaved so horribly was that zombies might even sweep the entire universe. Purely because, in that universe, there are such things as zombies. If there are no zombies, Necromancer big magician can do it. It's just resurrection and controlling the corpse. And here, there is no such thing as a zombie virus. Nick Fury breathed a sigh of relief. In the information of S.H.I.E.L.D. For things like zombie viruses, there is no record at all. Information that S.H.I.E.L.D. does not have. That's almost the same as not existing at all. But the next moment, he thought of the Foundation, and these anomalous containment items in his mind. AF. For the Foundation, with those anomalous containments. Before S.H.I.E.L.D. Haven't even heard of it. Thinking of this, Nick Fury's face froze immediately. Shouldn't it? Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Before the thoughts in his mind were formed, he interrupted decisively. If what he conjectures is true, doesn't that mean the zombie universe in the video just now? Could it really happen to them? Foundation. Wait a minute, it seems that the universes in the video just now don't have the Foundation, nor the existence of those abnormal containment objects. Nick Fury had a sudden shock in his head. Everyone else, even those mutants, Hulk, all appeared in that video. Why is there no Foundation alone? He looked at the light curtain in disbelief. Just see, the originally pitch-black light curtain. Suddenly it lit up again. 10 cognitive hazardous containment objects and reality benders inventory. 4th place, abnormal containment 963 Immortality. Why, on that Earth full of zombies, there are all of us, but there is no Foundation alone. The Foundation doesn't exist on Earth at all. Or did the Foundation disappear before these things happened in the video? Or, in that universe, the zombie crisis on Earth is probably related to the Foundation. Now, Nick Fury's brain was still immersed in the discovery he had just made. The more I think about it, in his heart, he became more and more afraid. He found, the more you know, the more mysterious and terrifying this Foundation organization seems to be. A moment later, he took a deep breath and looked at the light curtain. Immortal. Nick Fury frowned. What is the meaning of the name of the abnormal containment object that is being counted this time? It means this time the abnormal containment never rot. But this anomalous property seems to have nothing to do with cognitohazards or reality distortions. He looked at the light curtain again. Object class, Euclid. Fortunately, it's just Euclid class. See here. Nick Fury just wanted to breathe a sigh of relief. But the undead magician just seen emerged again. His face froze immediately. And at this time, in the light curtain, new information also floated out. Anomalous Containment 9631 is a decorative amulet approximately 15 centimeters in circumference, made of platinum, with 1313 data-expunged brilliant cut diamonds surrounding one in a starburst-shaped data-expunged case oval ruby. It was found in the possession of data-expunged who had died of an apparent suicide, and was surrounded by a number of supernatural-related books. After various experiments, it has been confirmed that the item cannot be destroyed. Asgard. Odin, who was still in shock in the zombie universe. After seeing these materials, I was taken aback for a moment. A pendant that cannot be destroyed. This is called immortality, which is quite appropriate. Odin's face, he showed a look of doubt. But, can this also be counted as an anomalous containment? And, is it still in the inventory of cognitohazards and reality benders? Something of this nature. There are so many in his collection alone. Among other things, his eternal lance, Congunir, has this characteristic. What he couldn't understand the most was that the ranking of this anomalous containment, even taller than the Necromancer magician. This is so unreasonable. Unless this abnormal containment has other abnormal effects. Odin's one eye was bare. Above the light curtain. Information will be updated soon. Anomalous containment 963 must be attached to the subject's forehead or back of the hand with epoxy resin of suitable strength. Cross out. Change to anomalous containment 963-1 is currently hung around the subject's neck by a chain. Concealment of 963-1 on the subject's body is not permitted. Anyone who tries shall be executed immediately. If the current D-class subject survives for more than 30 days, it needs to be terminated, and another subject is selected to wear 963-1. Cross out. Change to by order of O5 data expunged. Any anomalous containment 963-1 host is to be suspended until it is passed on for natural reasons or 963-1 is transferred to a new home. Well. Inside shield. Intelligence service agent. Facing these materials quickly. Analyzed. Why did you cross out these materials? Could it be that the Foundation discovered that its previous perception of this abnormal containment object was wrong? So it was changed. In other words, the information released by the Foundation may not be all correct. D-class personnel will be executed after 30 days. It's so miserable. Ah no, what's the reason? These materials seem to be a method of containment. In the beginning, the Foundation wanted to directly execute the D-class personnel, and then they can suspend the processing. Does this mean that the Foundation thought at the beginning that the abnormal properties of this contained object were very dangerous, but later thought that it was not so dangerous? And Nick Fury's attention. It is concentrated on the last paragraph of information. Oh 5, what is it? It looks like the height of the Foundation. It even has the authority to directly modify the containment method of the abnormal containment. Nick Fury's eyes flickered all of a sudden. He looked excitedly at the light curtain. I am afraid that I will miss a little bit of content. And at this time, light curtain, new text emerges. Dr. Jack Bright was a fully qualified elementary level researcher at the time, assigned to study the properties of anomalous containment 963-1, and granted access to redacted. However, abnormal containment 0762 broke through the containment measures. At that time, Dr. Bright passed through the containment unit holding abnormal containment 963, becoming the first person to die from containment failure. Seeing this string of information, the internet exploded in an instant. Speaking of doctors, although I don't know this Dr. Bright, I think of those doctors who did experiments before. Although this experience makes me want to laugh, ha ha ha. Sorry, Dr. Bright, for getting to know you this way. Absolutely. The members of the Foundation who appeared before, either died of resisting the unclean and him, or died of containing the abnormal containment. Dr. Bright died of bad luck. Did by Abel's AoE damage when he breached containment. This death is too unfounded, ha 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 ha. While countless people are discussing, the information on the light curtain was refreshed again. About data expunged days later, D113, who was assigned to clean up the wreckage, found 963-1 among the wreckage and picked it up. D1113 immediately followed by significant changes. The content of the interview is as follows. See this information. Everyone suddenly fell silent. Then you see, in the light curtain, a picture appeared. Screen. It's a containment room. There was only one D-class personnel in an orange vest inside. Chest. Wearing a pendant. At this moment, a processed electronic sound suddenly sounded. Now, can you tell me your name? Hearing this question, an impatient look suddenly appeared on the face of the D-class personnel. I'm Jack Bright, you should know better than me, right? The electronic tone continued. I think you are Tom. You are doing things for us to offset your life sentence. Upon hearing this, the D-class personnel immediately widened his eyes. Then he waved his hands and said, stop talking nonsense. I can't be. However, he has not finished speaking. Then an agent appeared and took away the pendant on his body. Almost at the same time, the expression of the D-class personnel suddenly froze. It's like being dead. After a while, on his face, a look gradually appeared. Drive Bright. At this time, the electronic sound sounded again. The face of the D-class personnel showed a blank look. What are you talking about? The picture stops here. Inside Kamar Taj. After seeing this scene, Ancient One's pupils shrank suddenly. In her mind, an idea has already emerged. And at this time, light curtain, the written data appeared again. After extensive experiments, it has been found that when any anthropoid suborder comes into direct contact with anomalous containment 963-1, the subject's consciousness will be wiped out, and Dr. Bright's consciousness will be projected from 9631 onto the subject. Dr. Bright's original memory will also be passed on between hosts. Quote. See this exact information. Ancient One couldn't help but gasped. She finally understood. Why is this anomalous containment called immortal? This so-called immortality, it's for that Dr. Bright. As long as the pendant hangs on the body of the person, this Dr. Bright consciousness can live forever. Isn't it immortal? And this anomalous containment reminds her of the Occupy mask from earlier. Only, the consciousness occupying the mask does not know who the source is. Backquote. However, judging from the video just now, as long as this abnormal containment is removed, those parasitized by consciousness will recover. Quote. Ancient One whispered. She looked at the newly emerged data on the light curtain again. If the subject has been in contact with 963-1 for 30 days, then their brain function will become a copy of the previous Dr. Bright. If 963-1 is removed after this stage, the subject will become an independent copy retaining the consciousness of Jack Bright. To avoid creating multiple instances of Dr. Bright, such entities need to be terminated to prevent self-collusion by Dr. Bright. However, such actions have proven unnecessary, as Dr. Bright has completely dedicated himself to the Foundation and its causes. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. After seeing these data, all the agents of the Intelligence Department were taken aback for a moment. So, that's why, in the previous materials, the rule of immediate execution of personnel who have been in contact with the abnormal containment OBJECT 963, for more than 30 days, has been crossed out. Natasha Romanoff looked at the light curtain and said in surprise. So, the pendant of anomalous containment 963 should hold it when it is about to die, so that it will be able to realize immortality. Nick Fury's eyes were still on the pendant. Conscious immortality. I am afraid that no one can refuse this temptation. His eyes searched on the light curtain. Want to find more information? Dr. Bright himself has conducted extensive experimentation with anomalous containment 963-1, and has expressed a strong desire to be freed from it. Nick Fury was taken aback. Dr. Bright Wangzhou speculates that he inadvertently activated the power star of 963-1 because of his suicide, not the attempted suicide like the original creator did. Dr. Bright has attempted suicide data expunged times so far, all of which have been successful. See here, Nick Fury suddenly had a shock in his mind. Dr. Bright would like to be free, and tried to commit suicide many times, but never succeeded. For Dr. Bright, immortality seems like a torture. Kamar Taj. Ancient One sighed slightly, although she has been pursuing life. But she is also for, let yourself live until the next Sorcerer Supreme can grow up. If consciousness is sealed in a pendant, and also live forever. That is not luck, but an extreme torture. But even under such torture, Dr. Bright, are you still dedicating yourself to the Foundation? Ancient One couldn't help but think of the letter from the Red Sea object last time. The one who, though in despair, is himself insane, but still determined to block him from the agent outside the Earth. As expected, the members of the Foundation are all such great people. She sighed faintly, and at this time, light curtain information suddenly updated again. Apocalypse 4 Doctors. Dr. Bright related information. The 4 Doctors of Apocalypse. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. Seeing this information, all the agents were taken aback. But the next moment, the Intelligence Department in S.H.I.E.L.D. immediately started to act. Director Nick Fury. In the Bible, Apocalypse is the 4 nights, namely plague, war, famine, and death, representing the end of the world. The 4 Apocalypse Doctors in the Foundation, taking this name, may be related to it. Another Apocalypse material. It is speculated that the world's first mutant came from the first dynasty of Egypt. But so far, there is no news about it. And there's an apocalypse here too. Have to say. The intelligence department in S.H.I.E.L.D. is indeed very efficient. Almost immediately, all relevant information, it was all delivered to Nick Fury. Staring at these data, Nick Fury didn't speak for a long time. Could it be that the 4 Doctors of Apocalypse are really related to the 4 Knights who represent the end? This is not good news. Thought for a moment, Nick Fury, who still hasn't figured out the answer, turned your attention to the light curtain. And at this time, light curtain, a string of new textual information emerged. Name, Dr. Jack Bright, also known as Doctor, or, oh god no. Security clearance level, data expunged. Dr. Bright can be the personnel director of Sites 17, 19, and 63. But not Site 12, never Site 12. We won't discuss Site 12. Site 12 does not exist, and Site 12 does not exist forever. May God save our souls. See these materials. Nick Fury was taken aback for a moment. It looks like Dr. Bright, or Apocalypse 4 Drive. The status in the Foundation is not low. This site should be a department organized by the Foundation, or the unified name of some bases. But Nick Fury looked at the information and frowned. Why can't you mention Site 12? What happened here? Make the Foundation so taboo? Something big has definitely happened at Site 12, and it has nothing to do with Dr. Bright. And when he was puzzled, the data has been refreshed at 957 degrees. Experience. Reached the pinnacle in the fields of bioengineering and abnormal genes. Dead due to abnormal containment 963, and revived due to abnormal containment 963. The most hated others to call him abnormal containment 963, no matter who the other party is. The ultimate purpose of living is to die. Maybe it is the subconscious, maybe it is the fact that he already understands. But he will never die, he will live forever without any purpose. The most hated abnormal containment is 963, followed by abnormal containment 343. Although these words are straightforward, but there seems to be deep sadness in it. Online, it exploded in an instant. Oh my god, the ultimate purpose of living is to die, but he can never die. Isn't this sentence too pessimistic? I have a hunch, something earth-shattering must have happened to Dr. Bright, that's why he did this. Obviously I hate the anomalous containment object 963 that allows me to live forever. I want to commit suicide many times, but I am still willing to dedicate myself to the Foundation's cause. He really, I cry to death. From that unnamed agent to Dr. Bright, is this the spirit of everyone in the Foundation? Wait, 343, is this the god who fought against the Shy Man earlier? Asgard, Odin's pupils shrank suddenly. After Loki's death, he just watched all the previous abnormal containment inventory videos once. For this 343 god, he has naturally seen it. But his opinion is the same as Loki's. This god is basically impossible to exist. The ability displayed by God is really terrifying. And what was released at that time was just a video record. But now it seems, either God really exists, or this Dr. Bright's information is also false. Odin whispered. He actually prefers to believe the latter. But he also knows, there's no need for the Foundation to lie about this. But this Dr. Bright, why do you hate 343 feet God? As soon as Odin's voice fell, just see, the data on the light curtain is refreshed again. Because 343 always wants him to believe that he is God. According to data expunged, the reason is because his family believed in Utai religion, and 343 was identified as a false god. Inside the Stark Industrial Building. See these materials. Stark and the newly arrived Colonel Rhodes. They all froze for a moment. This reason is also. Colonel Rhodes' eyes widened immediately. Hesitation for a moment. Then he opened his mouth and said, "This Dr. Bright is really a devout believer. His belief is too firm. Just because it is different from what is described in the teachings of my own belief sect. Just refuse to admit, and hate a God who has seen miracles performed. Willing to question the God who really appeared. They are unwilling to question whether there is a problem with their teachings. This is really too firm in faith." Stark couldn't help but nod with a strange look on his face. He seems to be able to imagine the anomalous containment 343 God keep showing miracles to Dr. Bright. Try to convince the other person that you are God. As a result, Dr. Bright completely dismissed the picture. But, also because of this image of Dr. Bright, it seemed to be alive. And at this time, on the light curtain, new information emerged again. Dr. Bright is an extreme workaholic, hardly any rest time, the only rest time is drinking. When I am free, I will go to the room of abnormal containment 590 to watch my brother draw. As soon as this information appears, everyone froze. Shield. After a brief silence, all the agents immediately widened their eyes. What? Anomalous containment 590 is Dr. Bright's younger brother. Contained. So, what the hell happened? Wait a minute. Since Dr. Bright's younger brother is an abnormal containment object, besides relying on 963 immortality, Dr. Bright should have other abnormal abilities, right? Nick Fury also looked surprised. He looked at the light curtain very curiously. Soon, the information in the light curtain is updated. Abnormal containment minus 590 hyphenation point share your suffering. Item class, safe. Description. Anomalous containment 590 appears to be a young male approximately 16 years old. The only benefit he gets from his powers is apparent longevity, since he hasn't aged since he came to the Foundation. Abnormal containment 590 looks like a normal youth in every respect, but if abnormal containment 590 comes into contact with anyone else, he will heal all injuries and diseases on the other person. This effect can act on the mind and body. See these materials. Everyone was stunned for a moment. Inside Kamar Taj, Dr. Strange's gaze, he couldn't help looking at the heart bearer in his arms. It looks like the brother of Dr. Bright. The abnormal ability of abnormal containment object 590 is somewhat similar to So Heart Bear. Watching this scene, Ancient One's brow couldn't help but twitch. Obviously the heart-stitching bear poses no threat. But it happened to change the trajectory of the most important person. Suppressing the throbbing in my heart, Ancient One looked at the light curtain, thinking in his heart, it can also affect the mind. Doesn't that mean that this anomalous containment 590 can erase the cognitohazard? This is an incredible ability. But the next moment, she froze. But as a side effect, abnormal containment 590 will transfer this damage to himself, and he has to bear all the pain and consequences. It has been proved by many examples. When treating physical wounds, abnormal containment 590 will not only feel the pain of the wound, but also obtain scars related to the location of the wound. When treating a cancer patient, tumors can appear in different parts of his body, usually along his arms or legs. Will the damage be transferred to myself? Ancient One frowned. Then, this ability doesn't seem to be as useful as she imagined. But, after seeing the last piece of information, Ancient One froze immediately. During a certain incident of treating civilians who became mentally handicapped due to the breach of containment by the abnormal containment data expunged, the abnormal containment 590 was always at the psychological level of a 3-year-old child. Because of the treatment of mentally handicapped civilians. Become mentally handicapped. See these words. Ancient One's heart trembled suddenly. How much sacrifice and awareness is required? Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. After this piece of information surfaced, the entire S.H.I.E.L.D. all fell into silence. They were once again shocked by the personnel of the Foundation. In all honesty, they think, if you have acquired this ability to transfer pain, heal a little wound, they might still want to. But the treatment of mentally handicapped, make yourself mentally handicapped, they can't do it. Not to mention, in the data, and Dr. Bright's brother, examples of other injuries and even symptoms that have been treated. If I will definitely refuse, and find various reasons to comfort myself. For example, if I have such an ability, it will be of great use in the future. Absolutely can't just sacrifice in vain or something like that. No wonder, the name of this anomalous containment is called, Share Your Suffering. Nick Fury sighed deeply. No wonder Dr. Bright is always thinking about suicide. He stared at the light curtain. Dr. Bright's profile, silent. One of the 4 doctors of Apocalypse, the sacrifice was too great. From previous data, Dr. Bright has a very deep affection for his younger brother. And feel guilty. He can imagine. It was precisely because of this emotion that Dr. Bright allowed himself to work crazily without thinking about other things. So as soon as I have free time, I will drink and buy drunk. or silently watching his younger brother draw. However, but he wants to see his own brother in pain every day. I can't help myself, save him. Even, as one of the doctors of the Foundation, many related projects. You might even have to do it yourself. These scenes. Just thinking about Nick Fury is scary. This is far more unacceptable than death. And Dr. Britt, but still dedicated to the Foundation's cause. Thinking of this, Nick Fury's heart, immediately, he couldn't help but be in awe. The other side of S.H.I.E.L.D. Captain America's face. Also full of shock. He has always insisted on his own justice, claiming to be the most upright person. The things described in this document. If it is yourself, he thinks he probably can't do it. This is the real hero. He stared at Dr. Bright's file inside. Almost everyone. It's the same emotion right now. The admiration for Dr. Bright has reached an irresistible level. However, at this moment, in the light curtain, a bunch of new data. But it suddenly emerged. Official list of things Dr. Bright is no longer permitted to do within the Foundation. See this information. Everyone was taken aback for a moment. An official list of things Dr. Bright is no longer permitted to do within the Foundation. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., after seeing this line of information, all the agents were taken aback for a moment. What else is something that the Foundation thinks is too much and is forbidden to do? Not allowed. Nick Fury also chewed on this sentence over and over again. In mind, in an instant, the information about Dr. Bright that I saw just now. Drive Bright has attempted suicide several times but has never succeeded. This information may also be related to it. Nick Fury speculated in his mind. Could it be Dr. Bright, for the sake of protection, made some actions that the Foundation felt were dangerous, so the Foundation prohibited him from continuing to do so? Based on the information just now provided by the Foundation, Dr. Bright definitely didn't betray the Foundation to have these things. So the more he thought, the more I felt that my guess was probably right. Immediately a thought popped up in my mind. Not afraid of death, not afraid of anything. A stalwart image that also blocks danger from outside the earth. For this Dr. Bright, he also admired him more and more. Inside the Stark Industrial Building. This Dr. Bright, what the hell did? Stark's heart, also wild guesses. He thought of the last time. The letter I saw in the Red Sea object. What was recorded by the unnamed agent. Even in despair, find him, and stop things outside the earth. He still hasn't forgotten. When I think about it, I still feel shocked and excited. And what that agent did, the Foundation did not prohibit it. So, what Dr. Bright has done must be greater and more dangerous than that nameless agent, so much so that the Foundation thinks it's too crazy. In Stark's eyes, flashes of intense excitement and curiosity. He also wanted to know, what an earth-shattering thing this Dr. Bright has done. Did it save the world? The other side of S.H.I.E.L.D. Seeing the words banned, in Captain America's mind, immediately recalled his past, things that have been banned by the Foundation. What Dr. Bright has done is definitely not much greater than what I thought. In the eyes of Captain America, exuding a deep admiration, he stared intently at the picture in the light curtain. I'm afraid I missed a little bit. Immediately following the next moment, light curtain, a line of new information suddenly appeared. Dr. Bright is forbidden to show 343 the photo of 096 in the name of the experiment. Cross out the words in the name of the experiment. See this line of information. Everyone was stunned. S.H.I.E.L.D., including Nick Fury and Natasha Romanoff. All the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents were dumbfounded. They imagined. What about Dr. Bright doing something so great that the Foundation thinks it's crazy? This is the result. It is forbidden to show 96's photos to 343. Crazy is crazy enough. But, where's the greatness? And, this forbidden thing. Why does it feel so familiar? Stark Industrial Building. Quote ? Quote. Colonel Rhodes' face. Suddenly, a question mark face emoji appeared. True black ? He looked unbelievable. Looking at Stark, who was also stunned, he asked dreamily, is it the record of the interactive experiment between that shy person and 343 feet God, in the last inventory video? Stark nodded blankly. And now, online, the pot has already exploded. Word, it is forbidden to show 96's photo to 343. What the hell is this? So, the Foundation just won't allow Dr. Bright to do this kind of insane experiment. Wait, why is this description so familiar? In the interactive experiment of people who can't be shy, the doctor who smiles so happily is Dr. Bright. Oh my god, what did I think? What a great and dangerous thing was banned and I was ready to be touched and you're here for me. Is this really him? Laugh at me to death. Why did you delete the words in the name of the experiment? That is to say, Dr. Bright did this kind of thing again in the name of the experiment. How much I hate that Lishan, ha ha ha. It's been a long time since we co-authored it. This doctor turned out to be the doctor we met a long time ago, ha 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 ha. By the way, it seems that Dr. Bright's consciousness can be transferred through 963. Then the doctor who did the crystal vine experiment before is also him. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. In another location, the expression of admiration and anticipation on Captain America's face also froze suddenly, accepting myself to sleep. Just a few decades into the future after the fact, Captain America also watched the Foundation's previous inventory video once. The interactive video between 096 and 343. Of course he won't forget this prohibited record. As he imagined, it seems that something is not the same. And at this time, light curtain, the data is refreshed again. Forbid Dr. Bright to tell the new researcher that you can use a roll of paper to tame the anomalous containment object the immortal lizard, and rub its abdomen. Dr. Bright is forbidden to treat it as an infinite burger machine because the anomalous containment the immortal lizard can regenerate lost tissues. Captain America's face. Immediately, he showed a bewildered expression. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., after seeing the news, the expressions on the faces of the agents became extremely weird. What is this forbidden to record? Or, this Dr. Bright? After all, in the Foundation, how many insane things have you done? Tell the new researcher that the lizard that nearly wiped out New York can be tamed with a roll of paper, rubbing its belly, and also use the regeneration ability of the abnormal containment 682 to treat it as an infinite hamburger machine. Is this something normal people can do? Nick Fury froze, too. Just the admiration in my mind. All were replaced with a blank look. And at this time, the data in the light curtain continued to refresh again. Dr. Bright is not allowed to encourage D-class personnel, crossed out and changed to everyone to play peekaboo with anomalous containment 173 feet. Inside the Stark Industrial Building. See these materials. The expression on Stark's face suddenly became extremely weird. 173, is that statue? Stark seemed to be asking Colonel Rhodes, but also seemed to be asking himself. Encouraging others to play peekaboo with this sculpture that can't look away. And, from the crossed-out data, after being banned from inciting D-class personnel, Dr. Bright turned his attention to other personnel, eventually forcing the Foundation to change the rule again. Seems interesting. There was a strange gleam in Stark's eyes. Have to say, such a cheap thing. He also wanted to do it a little bit. But after seeing the next record, his expression froze. Dr. Bright is not allowed to persuade D-class personnel, crossed out and replaced with anyone, to intentionally cough in front of anomalous containment 049. Dr. Bright is prohibited from instigating D-class personnel, crossed out and replaced with anyone, to have a friendly eye contact with anomalous containment 096. Stark, would you like to see what you're doing? After personal experience, even if the plague doctor said that he did not have the plague, he also never wanted to meet that plague doctor in his life. As a result, this Dr. Bright still encourages people to cough in front of the plague doctor. Besides, encouraging people to have a face-to-face with 096, that thing that can't be looked at directly. Still friendly. Can this thing look friendly? How outrageous. Remember, anomalous containment 963 is not a soul gem. Despite what he may say, signing a contract with Dr. Bright will never make you a magical girl. Supplement, even if he has a set of magic girl equipment. The boundless starry sky. On the spaceship, after seeing this piece of information, the Guardians of Galaxy group immediately looked at each other in blank dismay. Pissed. Ha 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 ha. A moment later, Xingju finally couldn't help laughing. God, magical girl. He can even imagine now what happened behind this prohibition. The soul whose consciousness is independent, tricks other people that this is soul gem, and signs a contract with people in a decent way. And the second time, Dr. Bright even specially prepared a set of magical girl equipment to deceive. So someone else got scammed. So that, the Foundation had to add another regulation. Thinking of this picture, Xingju laughed so hard that he couldn't straighten up. And at this time, the new information is refreshed again. Dr. Bright is no longer allowed to provide directional navigation to cross out and read any location in SITE 19, even if cross out and read, specifically Foundation personnel. 1. Dr. Bright is not allowed to super finish the Cup of High Chow, ordered from Abnormal Containment 294 through Abnormal Containment 914. 2. Dr. Bright is not allowed to use Anomalous Containment 294 to create the 1 Cup High Chow meme, and use it on worldwide television. Definitely, a cup of explosion won't work either. In fact, should be banned. Dr. Bright reuses Anomalous Containment 294. Note: Abnormal Containment 294 is a coffee machine, and the abnormal effect is that any liquid you want can flow from it. Opening square bracket, comma, closing square bracket. See these materials. Finally everyone couldn't bear it anymore. Kamar Taj, pissed. A magic apprentice couldn't help but laughed out loud. Originally read the previous information. The image of Dr. Bright in his heart is extremely stalwart and great. Turning around, I found that Dr. Bright has done so many outrageous things. After he laughed out loud, he immediately covered his mouth. Then he looked around nervously, but found the other magic apprentices were almost holding back their laughter. And I don't know if it's an illusion. Even the Sorcerer Supreme Ancient One. There seems to be a faint smile on the face at the moment. The magic apprentice was stunned. Online. It also boiled directly. PFF'd ha ha ha. God, sorry, but I really can't help laughing ha 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 ha. The Foundation was forced to change the rule so many times, and finally just listed a ban. Dr. Bright's own doing. How many insane things has Dr. Bright done? I laughed so hard. I found out. This Dr. Bright is just like a bear ha ha ha. A bug of the Crazy Card Foundation. This is it. God using the anomalous containment. Minus 294 points high. Chowye. To be fair, this coffee machine is really interesting. If he really achieves the second point, I'm afraid not everyone in the world will be overwhelmed ha ha ha. At first glance, these requirements are outrageous, but behind every outrageous request, there is definitely an even more outrageous practitioner. And at this time, in the light curtain, new information, refresh again. Chapter 91. Dr. Bright has the consciousness transfer ability in Anomalous Containment 963. But he doesn't have any of the following in ability. 1. King James version of the Necronomicon. 2. Cyclops. 3. Laser nostril. 4. Laser post. Opening square bracket, comma, closing square bracket. 14. Foolproof detector. 15. The foolproof Uterran detector. Inside shield. After seeing these data, all the agents were stunned immediately. These are Dr. Bright deceiving personnel. Advice from the Foundation to others, right? Seeing the words of the Necronomicon in Nick Fury's mind. In an instant, the controlling zombie appeared. A necromancer magician that spreads the zombie virus to the entire universe. He continued to look at the file. A look of bewilderment suddenly appeared on his face. Necronomicon. Forget about Cyclops and the like. What the hell are laser nostrils and laser pubes? And God detector. Would anyone really believe such a lie? Xavier Ability Academy. The expressions of all the mutants became extremely strange. Because, in X-Men, but there is indeed one. Cyclops that shoot lasers from their eyes. Even. Because that force is too strong. Usually Cyclops have to wear special glasses. Only then did I dare to open my eyes, 953, with confidence. Seeing these materials now, in their minds, involuntarily began to imagine the scene where Cyclops shoot lasers from their nostrils and breasts. That picture is simply not too beautiful. By the way, what about Cyclops? Haven't come back from the mission yet. Storm Girl coughed. Concealing his inner thoughts, he asked. All the mutants shook their heads blankly. No mission recently. Wait, I seem to remember, he seems to be going on a date with Gretchen. It seems that they said in which forest. And at this time, light curtain, The information is updated again. The following items are not, and never will be, anomalous containment items, no matter what Dr. Bright requests. 1. Rainbow worker. 2. Double rainbow. 3. Rainbow, whatever the hell it is. 4. Women who refuse to have bed with Dr. Bright. 5. Mature woman. 6. Girl. 7. Mature grandmother. 8. Great-grandmother. Closing parenthesis. Stark Industrial Building. See these materials. Colonel Rhodes and Stark immediately looked at each other. What is this? A moment later, Stark couldn't help laughing out. Pissed, this Dr. Bright is so interesting. He can even imagine, when the Foundation listed this entire information. What kind of mood do you have? In Stark's vision, Dr. Bright saw that the rainbow in the sky was very beautiful, so he was going to let the Foundation take care of it. After being rejected by the Foundation, I asked expectantly, what about the double rainbow? After being rejected again, he still did not give up. Until the staff in charge of the Foundation became impatient. After simply saying, TMD, any form of rainbow is not acceptable. Dr. Bright just gave up completely. And the following, women who refused to have bed with him. Same situation. Based on these data, the image of Dr. Bright instantly came alive in Stark's mind. Narrow-minded, and extremely horny, and cynical, very curious. He has many shortcomings that ordinary people should have. But he is an out-and-out genius. Just like myself. The more I think about it, the smile on Stark's face, it became more and more unstoppable. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. Agents of all intelligence services. After seeing these materials, his complexion became extremely strange. These data, basically don't need them to analyze. Normal people think a little. You can guess what happened at that time. But, what they want to know is, at that time, the personnel responsible for the establishment of the abnormal containment project of the Foundation. After seeing these application reports from Dr. Bright, what kind of mood do you have? Rejecting Dr. Bright's increasingly outrageous applications over and over again. Online. After the information appeared, it exploded in an instant. PFF ha 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 ha. I originally thought that the last information was outrageous enough, but I didn't expect this information to be even more outrageous. Hot mature woman, a mature mother after being rejected ha ha ha. In the end, she still refused to give up, and got her grandmother's generation. Dr. Bright is so persistent. If you don't insist, Dr. Bright will deny 343 because of the teachings he believes in. Although, the great-grandmother is too outrageous. How can a great-grandmother be hot? Absolutely, refused to have bed with Dr. Bright, and was applied for an anomalous containment. I don't know whether to say that Dr. Bright is narcissistic or just thinking AAA. In the picture of the light curtain, soon, string after string of written information emerged. At a glance, there are thousands of related records. Compared with the execution record of 682, it's all completely insignificant. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., all agents, they all stared dumbfounded at the information that emerged from the light curtain. This Dr. Bright. How big is the background? Doing so many insane things. Let the Foundation simply make a special prohibition document for each item. How could the Foundation still keep him? Did he save the Foundation's life, or save the planet alone? But, after a brief shock, the agents of the S.H.I.E.L.D. Intelligence Department, or record these materials immediately, and through the above content, analyze it. After all, there are quite a lot of abnormal contained objects in these materials. Drive Bright is not allowed to tell any new researchers that typing 011001.0111101 data expunged in a text file and renaming it to 079.x will give them full access to anomalous containment 079 control. An employee of the Intelligence Department quickly analyzed. This string of numbers should be a string of binary codes, plus the subsequent renaming format. Preliminary deduction that the appearance of abnormal containment object 079 should be something similar to a computer. Drive Bright is not allowed to rent out anomalous containment 002, even if crossed out and changed to, especially when he is in charge of purchasing furniture. See what this means. This anomalous containment, the anomalous phenomenon, is related to the furniture related. Maybe be able to produce furniture. But there should be huge side effects. Drive Bright is prohibited from repairing private parts or enhancing, strike out in red. for all reasons while using anomalous containment -212, deduced that the anomalous effect of anomalous containment 212 should be restoration. And the other side, inside the Stark Industrial Building. Stark gaze. Soon it stopped at the previously recorded information on Dr. Bright. These data that appear later. Everything proves that. How absurd and uninhibited Dr. Bright's behavior is. But, he always feels, under these seemingly countless absurd and unruly behaviors, but hides a lonely heart. Just like yourself, he felt more and more. Dr. Bright, he should be the same kind of person. Between them, there should be many common topics. And at this moment, light curtain, documentation of things that Dr. Bright is not allowed to do again. Slowly disappearing 0. Instead, it is a dense forest. Look down. Soon, under a big tree, a pendant with a ruby in the center. Under the reflection of the sun. It looks extremely dazzling. See this scene. Inside shield. Anomaly containment 963 Immortality. Nick Fury's breathing suddenly became rapid. He always wanted. Get in touch with this mysterious foundation. But so far, none stand a chance. However, this piece of anomalous containment 963 has the consciousness of Dr. Bright. From the previous data, the Dr. Bright's status in the Foundation is not low. Shield can get this pendant and elicit the words of Dr. Bright's will. Wouldn't it be possible to make Shield, logically, with that mysterious foundation, got in touch? Quick. Thinking of this, Nick Fury couldn't help shaking with excitement. He decisively issued an order. Mobilize all authorities, and quickly investigate, where is this forest? Next moment, inside S.H.I.E.L.D., the agents of the intelligence department immediately started to act. Asgard, Immortal, Dr. Burt, Odin stared at the screen with one eye, brooding. For this mysterious foundation, he has always been. Feel extremely curious and shocked. But have never been able to understand. At the moment, this immortal pendant that contains the will of the Doctor of the Foundation. If it can be obtained by him, it is definitely possible to get some core information about the Foundation from it. In this way, he will have enough understanding of the Foundation. The 9 realms should all be within his control. But, thinking of those powerful abnormal containments that appeared before Odin's face, another hint of hesitation was revealed. Stark Industrial Building. Is this anomalous containment immortality? Look at the exquisite pendant in the picture. In Stark's eyes, shining brightly with excitement, Dr. Bright's character. It simply made him see another more free and unrestrained self. He thinks, they will definitely be able to become friends. Xavier Ability Academy. Looking at the screen. The forest that appeared, the expressions of all the mutants are a bit weird. Who said just now that Cyclops and Grey Jean went on a date in the forest? Storm Girl asked with a slightly dull expression. She thought of a possibility. It can't be such a coincidence, can it? All the mutants immediately focused on the light curtain. And at this moment, in the picture of the light curtain, the figure of a monkey fell from the tree. The pendant that reflects the sun instantly attracted the monkey's attention. It looked back and forth at the pendant on the ground. Stark Industrial Building. Seeing this scene, Stark's eyelids couldn't help but twitch, and he couldn't help but said, could it be? Voice just fell. Just see. In the screen of the light curtain. The monkey picked up the pendant directly. After looking at it for a few seconds. Hung directly around his neck. Next moment, the monkey's eyes suddenly changed. At the same time, an annoyed voice suddenly came from the monkey's body. Oh God, no, how am I alive again? On the screen of the light curtain. Oh my God, no, why am I alive again? The monkey sat up decadently, spreading its hands. But suddenly, he saw his hairy arms. Pupils shrank suddenly. Unbelievably ran to the location of a river. Through the water. After seeing that his body was actually a monkey. Immediately froze. Inside the Stark Industrial Building. Seeing this scene, Colonel Rhodes was stunned for a moment. So, this pendant can also trigger abnormal properties if it is picked up by a monkey. Dr. Bright is now a monkey. It's said in the previous information. Stark collected the information just now. He opened the mouth and said, any orangutan suborder that comes into contact with it can trigger the abnormal property of the abnormal containment 963 immortality, and monkeys are naturally included. In Stark's eyes, cannot help but flash some color of fear. although he likes Dr. Bright's unrestrained character. Even feel, both of them are the same kind of people. If you are lucky enough to meet, you will definitely become a very good friend. But the anomalous containment 963 has the characteristic of immortality. It has almost the same effect as the 049 Occupy mask. Although worn for no more than 30 days, there is no major problem with removing the pendant of immortality. But the thought of my consciousness disappearing. Then another consciousness occupies his own body. Stark couldn't help a wave of fear. This was originally an extremely terrifying thing. He took a deep breath. Look at the picture of the light curtain. Now, on the screen of the light curtain, just as Dr. Bright occupied the monkey's body, while dazed on the surface of the water. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Several rapid screams came suddenly. Then you see. A monkey screamed and rushed towards him. It seems, it's a female monkey. And, it is a female monkey in estrus. Posted directly to Dr. Bright. Oh God, no, to hell. Dr. Bright's eyes suddenly showed horror. Although the tradition of the Bright family is promiscuity. But let him actually have bed with a female monkey in heat. He still couldn't accept it. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. Seeing this scene, all the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. suddenly stared wide-eyed. I've watched so many videos of anomalous containment inventory. In this case, it's the first time they've seen each other. Quite a few girl agents covered their eyes shyly. But the gap between the fingers is just enough to allow the eyes to see. Nick Fury's face can't help showing a strange color. Natasha Romanoff looked at the screen with great interest. Soon, her complexion became extremely strange. See, in the picture of the light curtain. Stop it. Seeing that female monkey rushing over, Dr. Bright yelled hastily. As one of the 4 doctors of Apocalypse, Dr. Bright's fighting skills are still very good. Soon, then he pressed the female monkey in heat to her body. But before Dr. Bright could breathe a sigh of relief, he felt a hostile gaze seemed to be looking at him. Turn your head away. I saw a very strong monkey looking at me angrily. The monkey, he is the monkey king of the monkey group. Thought Dr. Bright occupied one of his harem. Because it is undoubtedly a provocation. Therefore, it felt extremely angry. Roaring directly, he rushed towards Drive Brit. What's the matter? Dr. Bright couldn't help but scream to the sky. And seeing this scene, online, in an instant, it boiled completely. PFF'd ha ha ha. I laughed so hard. Dr. Brit was not only attracted by the female monkey, but also jealous by the Monkey King, ha 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 ha. Is this the Foundation's 4th Doctor of Apocalypse? Even monkeys can't resist his charm. I'm desperate, ha ha ha. Dr. Bright is the most unlucky one among so many abnormal containments, right? I think in the data, Dr. Bright has worked so many times, but I didn't expect to be educated by the monkey this time, ha ha ha. Wait a minute, the Monkey King seems to have been defeated. Dr. Bright has become a new generation of Monkey King. On the screen of the light curtain, the Monkey King who yelled and approached. He was soon beaten to the ground by Dr. Bright. Other monkeys watching. After a brief daze, cheers went straight around Dr. Bright. There are even a few female monkeys. Take the initiative to post to Dr. Bright. Dr. Bright was immediately afraid to avoid it. Inside the Xavier Ability Academy. After seeing this scene in the light curtain, all mutants. There was an extremely weird look on his face. So far, whenever there is an abnormal containment, either it is extremely terrifying, and it is fast. Either it is powerful and frightening. Most powerful. You can even use the zombie virus. It may reach the point of controlling the entire universe. And Dr. Bright, obviously an exception. Current record. He actually defeated the monkey and became a new generation of Monkey King. It's just too weird. But, thinking of Dr. Bright's information just now, it seems that something like this occurs. It's not something unacceptable either. Is the reaction of those female monkeys a little embarrassing? Fine. Wolverine touched her nose, and said, Drive Bright just occupied the body of a monkey, what if he occupied a human? Scott, Cyclops. But he hadn't finished speaking. He suddenly exclaimed. Hear this voice. The other mutants also looked at the light curtain. Just see, in the picture of the light curtain, Cyclops Scott, with Gretchen. Take a walk in the forest. Wolverine's heart, immediately, an extremely bad feeling arose. Scott took courage and quietly took Gretchen's hand. Then, His cheeks were flushed, but he pretended to be calm and pointed in the direction of the monkey group. Over there, it seems that the monkey group is electing a new king. Gretchen for his little tricks. He also pretended not to notice, and looked in the direction he was pointing. Then you see, the surrounded monkey actually looked towards him. Monkey's chest. Looks like there's still a ruby pendant hanging there. Looking at Gretchen's gaze, she was attracted by the ruby pendant. Scott's eyes rolled suddenly. Then, he walked directly towards the monkey group. Stark Industrial Building. See Cyclops in action. Stark and Colonel Rhodes were taken aback for a moment. The expression couldn't help but become extremely weird. This guy, what does he want? Xavier Ability Academy. After seeing this scene, all the mutants felt a thump in their hearts. Cyclops and Gretchen are currently having an affair. It's something that the entire Xavier Academy has acknowledged. Logan, Professor X yelled suddenly, and said, "Help me to the brainwave amplifier, and remind Scott to stay away from there." Wolverine jumped into action immediately. In the picture of the light curtain, Cyclops held a banana in his hand and walked up to the group of monkeys. Hand out the banana to Dr. Bright in the middle. At the same time, he pointed to the pendant on his chest. Inside shield. This kid is mutant, Cyclops. Nick Fury's eyes widened suddenly. He wants to trade a banana for a pendant. For ordinary monkeys, the attraction of the ruby pendant is not as big as that of a banana. But the problem is, in this monkey, it is now the personality of Dr. Bright. T.O.B. In Nick Fury's mind, suddenly thought of Dr. Bright's information just now. It seems that there is a make people not believe Dr. Bright's claim that he has Cyclops ability. Thinking of this, Nick Fury's expression. It couldn't help but become extremely weird. On the screen of the light curtain, seeing the bananas handed by Cyclops, Dr. Bright's face darkened instantly. But his present body is that of a monkey. The black face can't be seen at all. But, when he noticed the special glasses on Cyclops' face, corner of mouth, immediately, he couldn't help showing a smile. This smile, it immediately made Cyclops feel familiar. Like, where have I seen such a smile? Correct, Cyclops remembered quickly. It seems that, in the abnormal containment inventory video. In the video of the shy man interacting with God, the smile of the Foundation doctor. But, how does this monkey have such a smile? It must be my own illusion. Cyclops shook his head, seeing the monkey taking off the pendant around his neck. Cyclops suddenly smiled. This monkey is pretty smart. But the next moment, he saw, the monkey, after taking off the pendant, it was not handed over to him. Want to bring it to yourself instead. Cyclops was taken aback for a moment. Isn't this monkey too clever? But after glancing at Gretchen, he still didn't resist. Next moment, the pendant was hung around his neck. Then, Cyclops' faces. Immediately, he showed a weird smile. Oh, thank God. Wait, this guy seems to be talking. He took off his special glasses. Brush. The Cyclops were released immediately. Oh. Dr. Bright suddenly exclaimed excitedly. I said, I will definitely Cyclops. Talking. His gaze, I couldn't help but look down at myself. Slightly sighed. Unfortunately, there are only Cyclops. Gretchen not far away. He was stunned by this sudden turn of events. Inside shield. He won't be. Natasha Romanoff said with a strange face. It's a pity that I don't have laser hairpins and laser nostrils, right? Nick Fury nodded with the same odd expression. Xavier Ability Academy. After seeing this scene, Professor X and Wolverine were suddenly anxious. No rush, there is still a chance. Professor X said in a deep voice. As long as I find Scott's brainwaves, I can control Dr. Bright and take down that pendant. At this moment, the brainwave amplifier is activated. Soon, then the brainwave of that position was searched. Professor X closed his eyes resolutely, activating his own abilities. However, the next moment, his complexion changed drastically. After passing through the supernatural power of the brainwave amplifier, unable to control Dr. Bright's mind, even the slightest bit of control can't achieve 480. So far, this is the first time he has encountered such a situation. To know before, even if he meets a mutant who also has the mind control ability. What happened was also pulled into a dream, and the two sides competed for spiritual power. However now, even that didn't happen. He can't influence the opponent directly. What the hell is this? Professor X looked at the light curtain in shock. And at this time, the picture in the light curtain suddenly went black. When it reappears, only Gretchen was left, standing blankly in the forest. At the same time, inside Site 17 base. Congratulations, you have successfully contained the abnormal containment object 963 Immortal. You have successfully obtained the characteristics of meme resistance and spiritual immortality. Opening square bracket, comma, closing square bracket. Hear the voice in your head. Lin Yan nodded in satisfaction. With Dr. Bright's loyalty to the Foundation, containment is simply too simple. It didn't take much effort at all. If you ignore the things that Dr. Bright deliberately joked about during containment. Remember what just happened? Lin Yan shook his head with a wry smile. Don't talk about Dr. Bright. The Foundation's Apocalypse 4 doctors. None of them are safe. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., a group of agents stared at the pitch-black screen. Immediately he was dumbfounded. What happened again? Why is the screen black and then it ends again? It should have been the Foundation's agent who made the move just now. Nick Fury stared at the bewildered Gretchen in the light curtain. He said in a low voice, "It is now confirmed that there is definitely a way to erase memories in the Foundation. But, with the mysteries that the Foundation now reveals, this means of erasing memory, it's not a big deal either." Fortunately this time, anomalous containment 963 and Dr. Bright. It didn't have much impact. Only sad. I'm afraid it is the monkey who was taken away from the position of Monkey King. Think of monkeys. The corner of Nick Fury's mouth couldn't help but 1 to 4. And at this time, the picture in the light curtain slowly disappeared. Instead, it is a string of new text data. 10 cognitive hazardous containment objects and reality benders inventory. 3rd place, abnormal containment 239 witch girl. From the data, Dr. Bright seems to have no other abnormal effects before encountering anomalous containment 963. Does this mean that the Foundation's 4 Apocalypse doctors are just ordinary people like him? And the authority of the 4 doctors of Apocalypse in the Foundation should not be low. Does that mean the vast majority of the members of the Foundation are just ordinary people? Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury's mood still stuck on Dr. Bright's profile. He thought before the Foundation appeared, the agent in charge of containing those abnormal contents seems really just normal people. Thinking of this, Nick Fury's face was instantly filled with shock. If my guess is true, that Foundation is far more mysterious than I imagined. After all, an organization of mostly ordinary people, able to know and contain so many abnormal contents. This thing originally is a very unimaginable thing. A moment later, he took a deep breath and looked at the light curtain. The anomalous containment object that is being counted this time is a witch girl. Nick Fury froze for a moment. Listen to the name. This time the abnormal containment seems like a girl. But it's not like a human. But, after reading the following information, Nick Fury's pupils shrank suddenly. Object class, Keter, all agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Suddenly it became extremely serious and frightened. The Keter level abnormal containment items that appeared in this inventory. And it ranks so high. Prepare for the worst now. Nick Fury growled. Kamar Taj, witch girls, races from other dimensions. See these materials. The expression of Ancient One immediately became extremely tense. The name, obviously not a race in the Earth dimension. And the abnormal containment of this inventory ranked so high. If she's a reality bender too, I'm afraid it's bigger than that undead magician. Even stronger and more dangerous. More importantly, the Foundation's rating for a Necromancer magician is only Euclid. But this young witch girl is Keter level. I hope it doesn't appear in the Earth dimension. Ancient One couldn't help murmuring in a low voice. Even if you don't know what the other party's ability is. But based on the project level given by this Foundation, if this abnormal containment really appears in the Earth dimension, she's not sure now. Can you stop yourself? She looked worriedly at the newly refreshed information in the light curtain. Anomalous containment 239 appears to be an 8-year-old girl with a height of 1 meter and a weight of 20 kilograms. The subject has shoulder-length blonde hair. Further examination reveals that the subject's eyes shimmer with a gray-green hue. Stark industrial building. See these materials. Stark was taken aback. The anomaly contained in this inventory is actually another girl. He remembered that the anomalous containment he encountered before was not good enough, the girl named Zhao Zina. Only, this time, the witch girl looks younger than Zhao Zina. That weird girl who can complete most of the instructions. Stark couldn't forget it now. I don't know, what kind of abnormal characteristics does this witch girl have? Stark murmured under his breath. And at this time, light curtain, new information has been refreshed. Doctor, data expunged S report. My analysis of her situation has concluded that anomalous containment 239 is an unacceptable containment and security risk. Although there have been several proposals to use her to contain other anomalous objects. But anomalous containment data expunged and other examples must have served as a stark reminder of the risks of overestimating the Foundation's control over reality-altering anomalous containment abilities. After these data are refreshed, the entire shield fell silent in an instant. All agents, his face was full of disbelief. A report by a doctor of the Foundation on this anomalous containment is an unacceptable containment and security risk. This is an inventory of so many anomalous containments. This is the first time the Foundation has made such an evaluation. Hiss. A gasp sounded instantly. Nick Fury's body also froze suddenly. A chill instantly filled his whole body. Those anomalous containments before were so powerful, even destroying the world and distorting the reality. The Foundation has never felt uncontainable either. Result now, anomalous containment objects that even the Foundation has deemed impossible to contain. What kind of monster is this? This thing. Nick Fury couldn't help trembling all over. There was horror in his eyes. Look at the newly refreshed data in the light curtain. The object appears to emit undiscovered radiation, named data expunged. These waves appear harmless at low intensities, but at high intensities they break down matter at the subatomic level. See these materials. All agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I was taken aback for a moment. Kamar Taj. This time the anomalous effect of the anomalous containment emits radiation. There was some disbelief in Ancient One's tone. Emits radiation. In even the most powerful cases, it is capable of breaking down matter at the subatomic level. If you have to say it, this ability is very scary. But, what she finds unbelievable is not because of the power of this ability. 2. Compared with the abnormal effects of those abnormal containment objects that appeared before. This ability seems to be nothing. At this point, how can you make the Foundation feel uncontainable? Sudden, Ancient One thought of some of the anomalous containments it had previously inventoried. This witch girl should have other more powerful abnormal effects. Ancient One murmured in a low voice. Stark Industrial Building. This unusual ability. Stark's expression was also full of doubts. As an arms dealer, he definitely knows what a terrifying concept it is to break down matter at the subatomic level. B. Compared with the abnormal effect of not good enough, it is far worse. The first reaction in his mind, even the Foundation directly ordered, not good enough. Wouldn't it be enough to kill this witch girl? After all, that girl named Zhao Zina. To a certain degree. As long as the received instructions are considered sufficiently able to do almost anything ordered. Then why is this little witch girl ranked so high? Even let the Foundation. Are you all so afraid? Stark looked at the light curtain in great doubt. Then, Stark froze in place on the spot. Anomalous containment 239 appears to have the ability to do whatever she expresses her intention to do. Simply put, as long as the subject is sane, she is free to do whatever she really wants to do. Fortunately, she only seems to affect herself and things near her. I.e., if she can see it, she can change it. What? Stark was stunned. The anomalous effect of this witch girl. TM's looks like an enhanced version of not good enough. Not good enough to take orders. And only part of it can be done. As a result, the witch girl, as long as she wants, can change everything. Kamar Taj. Sure enough, a reality bender. See these materials, even with some hunch, but Ancient One still couldn't help taking a deep breath. It seems that, this witch girl, the most complete reality bender ability has ever utilized. After all, the reality benders that appeared before all have their own limitations. Not good enough, requires instruction and can only be partially completed. Necromancer Big Magician. It is also necessary to use the Necronomicon to be able to distort reality. And it can only distort the reality of undead corpses. However, this witch girl, there doesn't appear to be any restrictions at the moment. As long as she wants, she can accomplish anything. The key is, according to the information released by the Foundation, the level of reality twisted by this little witch girl, I'm afraid it's also frighteningly high. I don't know what kind of level of distortion the witch girl can achieve. Ancient One looked at the light curtain. In any case, it would not be a wise move to test how powerful she is. According to multiple experiments, she can create and affect living things. For example, when a D-class personnel accidentally hurt her, she would just want him to disappear. Then, the D-class personnel disappeared permanently, as if it never existed. Fortunately, after this, Anomalous Containment 239 felt guilty. So the D-class personnel appeared again. After seeing these materials, Ancient One froze immediately. This Sorcerer Supreme can't even speak at the moment. This TM is simply better than the distorted reality displayed by, not good enough, ability. Be infinitely stronger. After all, when the Foundation ordered, not good enough, to terminate 682. Not being good enough is distorting reality around oneself. Strengthen yourself, then attempt to physically kill 682. As a result, this witch girl, just a thought, directly from the practical level, erase the other party's existence. This is too outrageous, right? No wonder the Foundation feels that this anomalous containment cannot be contained at all. Even Ancient One doubts, if the witch girl thinks in her heart that there is no magic. So, will the magic in the real world really disappear? No, it can't be so outrageous, can it? Ancient One murmured in panic. She really can't figure it out. Such a heaven-defying anomalous characteristic, how to deal with it? Asgard. After seeing the record of this experiment, both Odin's and Thor's pupils shrank suddenly. Thor's eyes are full of fear. After a while, I couldn't help but said, who is the real god? Odin was equally bewildered. Asgard, and all other gods of different dimensions. Although each has its own powerful means. But, number good, if you want to make the target disappear, you also need to kill it. Where can this be done? Just erase it. In contrast, this girl is like a real god. And at this time, the data in the light curtain is refreshed again. As a means of controlling the subject's ability, she has been told that she is a witch. In addition to making her feel better, it also made her believe that before using her ability, she must read a spell, which was provided by the Foundation and pre-approved. Kamar Taj. After this information appeared, on the face of the Ancient One, immediately revealed an incomparably complex color. So, the Foundation's approach to dealing with witch girls. Is it cheating? Cheat this anomalous containment. The source of her ability is magic, and she needs to read a spell to use it. So, in order to better suppress and control her, when I have pursued my life's magic, was it actually used for this kind of deception? Thinking of this, Ancient One immediately felt very uncomfortable. But she also had to admit, with the abnormal characteristics of witches and demon girls who wish to come true, it seems, it is indeed the best way. After all, before, the witch girl already knows that she is extraordinary. You can only use the concept of magic to deceive the other party. And at this time, in the light curtain, a new paragraph of text soon emerged. Event: Abnormal Containment 239B. Anomalous Containment 239B Incident. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., all agents, all of them immediately focused their attention on this new written record. Nick Fury and Black Widow Natasha Romanoff. His eyes were also fixed on the light curtain. Obviously, this 239B incident, it definitely has a great relationship with the witch girl. And at this time, light curtain, a new piece of information appeared. Event summary. Data expunged. Doctor. In view of the abnormal effects of Abnormal Containment 239, I suggest that Abnormal Containment 148 can be used to make a piercing device, which can pierce the skin that Abnormal Containment 239 could not pierce originally. In view of the danger of Anomalous Containment 239 waking up and resisting execution, I recommend that the selected executors carry Anomalous Containment 668 at the same time to minimize concurrent situations. See these materials. Inside shield. All the agents immediately analyzed it in the first place. A new abnormal containment has appeared. From the analysis of the data, the abnormal containment 239 should be a material with anomalous effects. The exact anomalous effect is unknown, but it can damage anomalous containment 239. The agents immediately began to analyze. However, the analysis of abnormal containment 668 is not yet known. In order to resist the anomalous effects of anomalous containment 239. Natasha Romanoff stared at the screen, muttering in a low voice, "Can this anomalous containment be able to resist reality distortion to a certain extent?" She remembered the last time. The scene where Magneto, who was enhanced by Momui, suddenly lost his abilities. The Foundation seems to be doing just that with a huge amounts of weapon. But that thing is too big. Obviously not portable. This anomalous containment 668. It should be an anomalous containment with this effect. And at this time, the data on the light curtain is updated again. But one of the dangers of this measure is that 239 may wake up and think that the executor is a friend or a good guy, and then forcibly change reality. Kamar Taj. After seeing this information, Ancient One's pupils couldn't help shrinking. 443. After seeing the previous information, she already felt that reality benders were outrageous. She had imagined the power of the reality bender as much as she could. But unexpectedly, she is still underestimated. Even if someone wants to assassinate this witch girl. But as long as the witch girl feels that the other party is a good person, the reality will change directly, making the other person a really good person. This is too outrageous. Ancient One shook his head with a wry smile. She suddenly felt, in the name of magic, to deceive this little witch girl doesn't seem like a disgrace to magic. Take a deep breath. Ancient One looked at the data on the light curtain again. For this reason, I personally voluntarily implement this measure. By reviewing my profile, it should be clear that my data expunged would allow me to continue this operation after the reality shift. Ancient One's pupils shrank suddenly. And inside shield. It was an instant analysis. The mysterious doctor seems to be able to withstand the Witch Maiden's reality-bending ability. Nick Fury couldn't help exclaiming. The ability displayed by the witch girl is omnipotent. Bay, this doctor is also a powerful reality bender. For this mysterious doctoral status, my heart suddenly became very curious. Could it be that this doctor is also one of the 4 Apocalypse doctors? In his mind, Dr. Bright suddenly came to mind. And at this time, the data in the light curtain was refreshed again. Unfortunately, Dr. Data Expunged made a mistake, and instead of sending his advice on an encrypted channel, he sent it in clear text. Information about his plan of action was received by several site data expunged personnel. Due to the fact that anomalous containment 239's reality bending ability makes it a friend on site, several staff members took action to prevent Dr. Data Expunged from proceeding with his proposed plan of action, Dr. Kondraki AIEC in particular. Seeing this, the internet exploded directly. Hell, when I see the word doctor now, I think of Dr. Bright. This doctor is actually able to resist the reality distortion ability of the witch girl. What the hell is Dr. Kondraki? Are they the other 2 of the 4 doctors of Apocalypse? I don't think so. I feel that Dr. Bright's ability is completely incomparable with this mysterious doctor. And at this time, light curtain, suddenly a set of pictures appeared. Screen. A little girl was holding a dead bird in her hands, with a very sad expression. It won't die, Katie must still be alive, must still. The little girl prayed in her heart. Almost at the moment when this idea appeared, the dead bird immediately came back to life. Flapping its wings, it flew around the little girl. See, a smile suddenly appeared on the little girl's face. I knew, Katie, you won't die. However, the next moment, a look of fear appeared on the little girl's face. She suddenly remembered. The group of big uncles told her before that she should not abuse her ability, otherwise the big necromancer would kill her. Now, I revived the little bird Katie, wouldn't the big necromancer come to kill me? Thinking of this, the little girl suddenly trembled. In another room, a figure with a hat on his head and a smile on his face is talking with someone. In the picture, his face cannot be seen clearly. But it can be clearly seen that he has 3 green, blue, and hazel eyes. almost at the moment when the little girl thought about it. On the face of this figure, suddenly, an extremely bloodthirsty smile appeared. 239 must die. Immediately afterwards, an email was sent to the Foundation. After seeing this scene, the entire S.H.I.E.L.D., they all suddenly fell silent. Unbelievable was written all over Nick Fury's face. The figure with 3 eyes in the picture is probably the mysterious doctor. And what's on the screen looks like. The doctor wanted to kill the witch girl. Is it all because the witch girl fantasized about this matter in her heart? The reality distortion ability of this abnormal containment is too outrageous, too dangerous. Nick Fury's face suddenly turned pale. He felt that he seemed to have underestimated the meaning of the word, all wishes come true. After all, no one would never think wildly. And this witch girl. Even the wildest dreams can become reality. In case someone guides. Let the witch girl imagine the picture of the destruction of the world. No, it doesn't even need to be this way. This witch girl just needs to have a nightmare. What will happen in reality? Thinking of this, Nick Fury immediately shuddered. Online, it also exploded in an instant. Hashtag oh my god, what the hell kind of ability is this? Is this the real God? As long as you think of anything, anything can come true. No, God is not so outrageous. This ability is even more outrageous than Zinsu. Fortunately, there is no such thing as sitting and forgetting. Isn't this ability to achieve what you want as too bug? I feel that it is completely incomparable to add up the abnormal containments counted earlier. In the picture of the light curtain, the mysterious doctor, after being murdered. Soon, a large piece of alloy was taken out from the containment room of abnormal containment 148. Then, made it into a great sword. Soon, he came to an extremely majestic base. See this base. Nick Fury's pupils shrank suddenly. Is this the Foundation's base? But, thinking of the terrifying ability of anomalous containment 239. He couldn't be happier now. Took a deep breath. Nick Fury stared at the screen for a moment. In the picture of light. After the doctor arrived at the base. Immediately, 6 agents with weapons surrounded him. Data expunged doctor, put your hands on your head and lie on the ground immediately. Hearing these voices, the doctor did as he said. Lie on the ground. However at this moment, brush. Several afterimages flew by. Immediately afterwards, I saw that those agents had all fainted on the ground. S.H.I.E.L.D. Director Nick Fury. The agent of the intelligence department acted immediately and reported. Through slow playback, I found that it was the doctor who shot an anesthetic needle with a pistol, making these agents unconscious. Nick Fury nodded. In the picture of the light curtain. Soon, a group of security agents appeared from all directions and surrounded them. But, that doctor's skill is really too powerful. Soon, those security agents lay directly on the ground. The doctor in the picture quickly walked towards the base. Halfway, many more agents came to stop. But without exception, all were brought down quickly. Soon, the doctor entered the base. However, something weird just happened. The moment he entered the gate of the base, the surrounding environment immediately began to change. The channel entrance after the original. In an instant, it became a wall. The road ahead, constantly changing. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. Nick Fury frowned slightly. This scene, like that Sorcerer Supreme. When using that mirror space phenomenon caused Comatai. Seeing this scene, Ancient One sighed slightly. The space transformation caused by the mirror space. It's just a change in the spiritual dimension. The dimension of reality never changes. And on the screen, obviously, the dimension of reality has been directly changed. No doubt, this is definitely another reality bender masterpiece. While time, screen 1, the doctor with 3 eyes. The tone also became heavy. This is worse than I imagined. The reality distortion has occurred, the walls have been displaced, and everything is not where it should be. Where it should be. Quote, my site data expunged map is completely useless. The only thing I can do is follow the signs and hope they will lead me to the right place. What the hell? What's up with this door? I swear, it was just behind me. Wait a minute. Sudden, the doctor with 3 eyes froze. He held out his hand. He tapped twice on the iron gate next to him. Butterfly, Kendraki, you big fool. The doctor suddenly laughed wildly. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. Seeing this scene, All the agents were stunned. What's so funny about this? Maybe it's because he's discovered that these aren't reality benders. Natasha Romanoff guessed. It's also possible that I met an old friend or an old opponent. Voice just fell. In the screen of the light curtain. Shadow. There was a laughing curse. Laugh, you fool. Then you see. Around the doctor with 3 eyes. A group of fluttering butterflies suddenly appeared. At the same time, 4 identical figures appeared on the screen. This is supposed to be Dr. Kondraki. But why are there 4? Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., all the agents were taken aback. Duplication. Is this Dr. Kondraki's anomalous ability? Natasha Romanoff stared at the screen and analyzed it. Her gaze converged on those butterflies. Could it be related to these butterflies? And this time, in the picture of the light curtain, those butterflies are flying. Soon, then a figure of, no, Mieni lizard formed in the air. Roar, in the mouth of this immortal lizard. Let out an extremely penetrating roar, rushing towards the doctor. Asgard. This is, that big lizard. Thor shuddered in shock. The shadow in his heart left by the immortal lizard is really too great. No, it's not. Odin glanced at him quietly from the corner of his eye, shook his head and said, this should be, just an illusion. 1 inch. Then, he continued to look at the light curtain. On the screen, facing this unflaming lizard, the 3-eyed doctor didn't care. Instead, he took out his weapon and shot Dr. Kondraki resolutely. Bump, 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 after several gunshots. Those 3 Dr. Kondraki, they all fell flat on the ground. The remaining Dr. Kondraki looked up at the doctor with 3 eyes. Next to him, countless butterflies fluttered. Kondraki, you're smart, have you talked to 408? Convincing them to help you, or did the bloody bugs do it themselves? The doctor looked at Dr. Kondraki and said, Kondraki, why are you doing this? For her. Did she snuggle up into a little ball and call you, then turn you into her pet? Or was it just because she looked like a little girl and that inner voice in you that you were supposed to protect children drove you to do it? Speaking of which, the doctor with 3 eyes seemed a little annoyed. Kondraki, I repeat, this is a monster. The worst kind of monster, from hell, the monster who wants to destroy this world. Tell me where she is. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., seeing these pictures. Everyone was horrified. It is clear, from the display on the screen. This doctor with 3 eyes should be good friends with Dr. Kondraki. But at this moment they turned against each other. And for all reasons, but it was only because of a thought in the heart of that witch girl. But, the agents of the intelligence department analyzed it immediately. Abnormal containment 408, it should refer to those butterflies. The abnormal effect should be able to form illusions. And Nick Fury's gaze, but it is still firmly locked on the light curtain. On screen, after being subdued, Dr. Kondraki was still not reconciled. The surrounding butterflies continued to dance around the doctor, forming one environment after another. Kondraki, you know what? I had a conversation with Data Expunged once. He told me that nothing is real and that the world is just an illusion. You made me understand what he meant. Quote. The doctor with 3 eyes continued to walk deep into the base. You want to know, why can I get out of 91's containment room? Why can I get along so well with 166? If you know who I am, you'll know why. But I know, if you finds out, you will definitely make me your specimen. While talking, the 3-eyed doctor ignored the illusions around him, and walked deep into the base. No one knows what 091 looks like when it blooms and bears fruit. But you will see it soon. Upon hearing this, Dr. Kondraki's face suddenly showed horror. No. Stark Industrial Building. What are 166 and 091? Anomalous containment. This doctor seems to have a lot to do with these anomalous containment. Stark asked, frowning. As long as you are not a fool, I think everyone should know that this is the number of the abnormal containment object. Colonel Rhodes responded. Stark froze for a moment. After glancing at him, he continued to look at the light curtain. On the screen of the light curtain, the 3-eyed doctor soon. At the base, I met a group of guards wearing plate armor and accessories. Dr. Data Expunged, please stop your actions immediately, otherwise, we will take compulsory measures. The captain of the guard said coolly. A few minutes later, all members of the guard, all lay on the ground, unconscious. Immediately afterwards, the doctor went on, entered a containment chamber designated Anomalous Containment 091. New York. In a street. Seeing this scene in the picture, the master of imitation, Anthony Masterston's eyes lit up. This doctor's skill is simply too strong. The photographic reaction ability makes him have a strong imitation ability. This doctor is clearly a good match. However, before the imitator started to imitate, his pupils shrank suddenly. In the screen of the light curtain, after the doctor entered the containment room, then he embraced the deciduous tree about 4 meters high inside. And that tree, she actually looked like a woman and responded to the doctor. Next moment, from the doctor's body, leaves began to grow crazily. At the same time, blossoming beautiful flowers grow from the doctor's limbs. Anomalous Containment 091 Containment Failure. Level 4 Resident Evil Alert. The ear-piercing warning sounded immediately. Same time, the butterflies surrounding the three-eyed doctor immediately began to collapse. See, the doctor with 3 eyes did not stop, but continued to advance deep into the base. And at this time, a young woman in her 20s appeared among the butterflies. Same time, light curtain, a piece of written information also emerged. Anomalous Containment 336. Object Class, Euclid. Description: a young woman who will not age, of unknown origin. Her anomalous property is that her voice can render women sterile, makes men stunned after being exposed to her voice for a period of time, and split part of the organization to form a combination of various organisms. Known experiments include, but are not limited to, white-bellied mountain eagles, sand vipers, Asiatic lions, aurochs, Mongolian wild horses, and unidentified black goats. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. The moment this piece of information surfaced, all male agents, including Nick Fury, immediately felt a tight crotch. This NEMA, are abnormalities divided into men and women. But now, the point is clearly not these. A special intelligence agent immediately analyzed its records. And the eyes of Nick Fury and Natasha Romanoff. Then he looked at the light curtain again. On screen, soon, 336 appeared in front of the doctor. The doctor with 3 eyes was stunned for a moment. Lilith. Why are you here? 336 said softly, to stop you. She even affected you. There is anger in the doctor's voice. Immediately afterwards, it was a sound that I couldn't understand at all. 336. After a brief hesitation, he also chose to reply with the same voice. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., Director Nick Fury, an agent quickly reported, the language they use does not belong to any known language, including extinct languages. Nick Fury nodded. He had expected this. But, even so, many things can be analyzed. It seems that this suspected 3-eyed doctor, one of the 4 doctors of Apocalypse, with many anomalous containments, they are all inextricably linked. Even, they were probably all of the same kind. On the screen of the light curtain. So, is there really no other way? The doctor's voice trembled. No. 336 shook his head and said, I know your motives are correct, but you are a little too extreme. The doctor was silent. A moment later, only then said with a trembling voice, please remember, I love you. My love for you has never stopped. Hearing this conversation, inside the Stark Industrial Building, Stark and Colonel Rhodes immediately looked at each other in blank dismay. This doctor seems amazing. It seems that there was a deep relationship with this abnormal containment OBJECT 336. This. Stark was about to say something. Bump. The sound of a gun suddenly came to mind. Stark and Colonel Rhodes were stunned. In the picture of the light curtain, the figure of 336 has completely disappeared. Only the 3-eyed doctor was left leaning against the corner, trembling all over. Countless blood from his ears. Obviously, in response to the abnormal ability of the abnormal containment 336 just now, he directly shattered his eardrum. On the wall, there are many signs of bullet holes. The 3-eyed doctor wept as he reloaded his pistol. No one knows, he is suffering because of pain. Still crying because of the loss of a loved one. The flowers that bloomed on him. At this time, it completely withered. Took a deep breath. The doctor stood up and walked deep into the passage with a firm gaze. Seeing this scene, Aegis, within one direction of the bureau. Captain America sighed silently, although I don't know whether what the doctor did is correct. Is it because of the influence of that witch girl? But at least, in the doctor's mind, he was right to do so. In order to protect human beings, he stifled danger in the cradle. To this end, he even went so far as to be hostile to his former friends. Even kill former lovers. Captain America fantasizes a bit. If it was him, in the same situation, then he is absolutely reluctant to attack Peggy and Bucky. He is still selfish after all. But the members of these foundations seem to be different. The unnamed agent in the Red Sea object is like this. Dr. Bright is like this. Now the doctor is doing the same. Foundation. What kind of organization is it? Captain America sighed silently in his heart. In the light curtain. Soon, the doctor again encountered enemies who came to stop him. This also appears to be a containment object. The temperature in the channel. It has risen at an extreme speed. All cloth and paper burned quickly. Smoke soon filled the entire passage. When the smoke clears, only the figure of the doctor remained. And on him, the skin was completely scorched. The whole person looks like a lump of black charcoal. But he still has no hesitation. Stand up. Continue to walk slowly into the depths of the passage. Seeing this scene, countless people fell silent for a moment. This doctor is for the protection of human beings, even at the expense of being an enemy of the loyal Foundation. Friend, the ex-lover, even though his heart is full of reluctance, he is still resolute. Even if real facts, possibly because of anomalous containment 239 altering his reality. What he did was actually wrong. But no one will question this spirit. We will die to protect human beings, whether they want or not. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., in Nick Fury's mind, this oath of the Foundation couldn't help reappearing. Whether it is the Doctor, or other members of the Foundation who stopped him, they are all really using facts to practice this declaration. But the next moment, his pupils shrank suddenly. Can't help exclaiming, "Wait a minute, this is..." In the picture of the light curtain. Soon, a new figure appeared again, walking towards the doctor. On the neck of this figure, a gemstone pendant is hanging. God knows that I was so passionate when I first watched it, but I don't know why I burst into tears when I saw this. This doctor, I really cried to death. Even though he was misunderstood by everyone, he still chose to take action in order to kill the danger. Even if he killed his beloved and friends, he would have no hesitation. Quote, "This is burnt all over, isn't it painful? Stop, doctor." In seeing, the doctor wailed after shooting his beloved. Scorched like charcoal by the flames, but still advancing without hesitation. Countless people burst into tears. Online, it also boiled instantly. Wait a minute, is there a possibility that this is because the witch and fantasy girl changed reality? Is the doctor doing something wrong? Whether the facts are right or wrong, his motivation is at least for the sake of mankind, to kill the danger in advance. This spirit will never be changed. It's not just the doctor. Don't the other agents in the Foundation also think that they are protecting the little girl from the doctor's hands? As this spirit of the Foundation. Hats off to the doctor. Kamar Taj. Ancient One stared at the light curtain. I didn't say anything for a long time. In her mind, it is also full of emotion. However, at this moment, behind her, a voice came, "Sorcerer Supreme. I want to learn magic." Ancient One was stunned for a moment. Turned. Then I saw Doctor Strange looking at the light curtain with red eyes, and said, "You said that the mission of Sorcerer Supreme is also to protect the Earth's dimension. For this reason, we can sacrifice everything, just like the Foundation." In seeing, after what the doctor did, he only felt a surge of heat in his heart. He also wanted to be like that doctor. But he knows. He is just an ordinary person. Even if he is willing to sacrifice everything, it will not be of much use. And learn magic, he is no longer an ordinary person. Strange, whose blood boiled, fell silent for a moment. She spent so long convincing. None of them could make Strange completely make up his mind. Now after watching this video, Strange directly decided. But, it is indeed admirable. Ancient One looked at the light curtain and sighed inwardly. But the next moment, when she sees the light curtain, when the figure with the pendant around his neck appeared, Ancient One was stunned immediately. "Drive bright," Ancient One exclaimed with some hesitation. In the picture of the light curtain, an elderly woman, carrying a satchel and a pendant on his chest, he appeared opposite to Dr. Three Eyes. Satchel. A bouncy ball and a dice can be vaguely seen. Seeing this scene online, immediately, the pot exploded. Isn't this pendant? Dr. Bright. Don't doubt it. Look at the smile on this woman, and you'll know it's definitely Dr. Bright. I don't know why, even in such a serious situation, but seeing Dr. Bright appear, I always feel that the situation will change. Wait a minute, Dr. Bright seems to have no other abnormal properties except spiritual immortality. He appeared in front of this doctor. Is he courting death? Oh yes, Dr. Bright often courts death. What's in this satchel? Bouncy balls and dice. Is Dr. Bright so offline? Are you here to play? On the screen of the light curtain. See that pendant? The doctor with 3 eyes was stunned for a moment, and asked with a frown, Joke Bright. Why did you appear here? You are also here to stop me. Forehead. Dr. Bright spread his hands, shook his satchel, and said, to be honest, I don't know why I appear here. I should have gone. What should I have done? I don't know, but I just appeared here. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. All the agents immediately looked at each other in blank dismay. Do not know why. In the atmosphere of Dr. Bright's appearance, it is completely different from the blocker in front. And at this time, light curtain, 2 new pieces of information were refreshed. Item number. Abnormal containment object, super dice. Object class, Euclid. Description. A dark gray metal 6-sided dice. Every time a different number is thrown, it will bring different abnormal effects. 1 point, there will be electric current flowing out of it, covering a certain range. 2 points, will cause the water around the dice to freeze immediately. 3 points, will cause a lot of water to flow from the dice. At 4 o'clock, it will cause small-scale earthquakes around. At 5 points, it will cause the dice to shoot up 5 large ball-shaped flames flying in the direction it faces. 6 points, will cause huge amounts of tornadoes to be emitted from the dice. Item number. Abnormal containment, 018 bouncy ball. Object class, Euclid. Description. At first glance, abnormal containment 018 is just a brightly colored children's toy, but its bounce efficiency exceeds 200%. That is, if the bouncy ball falls from a height of 1 meter, it will bounce back 2 meters, then 4 meters, 8 meters, and 16 meters. After ejecting back and forth, the small ball will become a dangerous shell, and the estimated speed can reach more than 100 kilometers per hour. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., all agents froze immediately. The dice and the bouncy ball. Is it also an abnormal containment object? And, this anomalous effect seems to be very powerful too. Especially the anomalous effect of the bouncy ball. It's not as simple as violating the laws of physics. This literally knocked Newton's coffin over. It's even more outrageous than a perpetual motion machine. But now, the point is clearly not this. The looks of the agents. Can't help but look forward to it. I knew it. Although Dr. Bright seems to be offline, but at this critical moment, he is still very trustworthy. With these 2 abnormal containment items, maybe he can really stop this doctor. But it's not confirmed yet. The truth of the matter is who is right and who is wrong. So, I can finally see Dr. Bright showing his power. Countless eyes. Immediately, they all threw themselves into the light curtain. Even Nick Fury, too. Then I saw it. The doctor with 3 eyes took out the gun in his hand. Bump. Dr. Bright's body fell straight down. Seeing this scene, everyone froze. Well agreed, Dr. Bright relies on 2 anomalous containment. How about fighting wits with the doctor? He died within a minute of playing. Online, the pot exploded in an instant. Oh my god, Dr. Bright really came out to die. I saw him right. I swear to God, you've been saying for a second that he must have been sure to show up. Oh shit, Dr. Bright, what the hell are you messing with? Wait a minute, look at the expression on Dr. Bright's face. He was still smiling when he died. This smile is the smile he showed during the experiment before. I always feel that Dr. Bright's death is not that simple. Sure enough, since Dr. Bright appeared, the serious atmosphere just now disappeared in an instant. In the picture of the light curtain. Joke, I really don't understand you. Watching Dr. Bright die, the doctor with 3 eyes also showed doubts on his face. Then, he sighed. Reaching into the satchel, he took out the dice and the bouncy ball, 2 abnormal storage items. Immediately afterwards, he threw the investment towards the wall and threw it out heavily. 3 points. The water began to overflow. He picked up the dice and threw it again. It's still 3 o'clock. Bigger currents started to appear. That's not going to work. It's kind of useful. The doctor cursed in his heart. Then, directly reinvest the investment in your hand. This time, it was 2 o'clock. Next moment, those streams of water began to freeze rapidly. The whole passage, all were frozen, and the freezing speed is getting faster and faster, quickly spreading out of the passage. And at this time, the doctor glanced at the bouncy ball in his hand and threw it casually. The bouncy ball falls quickly, then bounce higher. Under such a cycle, the height of the bouncy ball is getting higher and higher. Momentum potential energy is also increasing. Finally, boom, there was a loud bang. The bouncy ball directly opened a big hole in the blocked passage. Seeing this scene, Asgard, Thor's expression suddenly became weird. Dr. Bright's smile just before he died always reminded him of Loki. Watch the bouncy balls and dice breach containment. A strange thought, it was born in his heart immediately. This drive Brit couldn't be here just to send these two anomalous containment objects. Thor looks strange. Normal people definitely cannot do such outrageous things. But he believed, Loki can definitely do it. Well, even more outrageous drive Brit did this. It doesn't seem impossible. Thinking of this, Thor's face is even more strange. He looked up at the light curtain again. Just see. In the picture of the light curtain. As the doctor went deeper. Soon, Dr. Kondraki has recovered the figure. With a sword in hand. Appeared again, in front of the doctor. Data expunged, it's all over, I'm going to get rid of you now. Dr. Kondraki roared and rushed towards the doctor. Bump. The three-eyed doctor resolutely fired his gun and asked, Kondraki, why? Why did you protect that monster? Because. Dr. Kondraki swung his knife forward and said seriously, in this world, there is more than just black and white. The doctor with three eyes cursed angrily. He directly took out the big sword that he had prepared a long time ago, and went up to meet him. Buzz. The knife light flickered, and the next moment. Then I heard the voice of the doctor with three eyes, you are colorblind, Kondraki. Hear this sentence. Inside the Stark Industrial Building. Honestly, Stark, Colonel Rhodes couldn't help but said, this guy is just like you sometimes, completely listening to and not understanding the true meaning of human words. Stark sneered, but he can't tell black and white, isn't that color blindness? Colonel Rhodes. And at this time, on the screen of the light curtain. The battle of the two doctors. It has also reached a white-hot stage. Dr. Kondraki began. Stop it. Well, that's enough. I really don't want to kill you, data expunged. The doctor paused when he heard the words, and tremblingly said, I don't want to kill you either. I don't want to kill anyone. Would you like to hear what you're saying? Dr. Kondraki yells, you just killed two people. The doctor with three eyes immediately covered his head. Said, I have no choice. If I don't kill her, she will destroy the world. She can change reality, just like she thinks. She's been contained. Dr. Kondraki yelled, no questions. No. You don't understand. The three-eyed doctor said with a painful face, I can't kill her, you have to stop me. No, I have to kill her to save this world. Dr. Kondraki was taken aback for a moment, what are you talking about? However, he hadn't finished speaking, then heard. A childish voice suddenly came. Necromancer, look at the flame missiles I unleash. Voice just fell. Huge amounts of roar came immediately. I release flame missiles. With this voice, in the picture of the light curtain. Soon a girl wearing a magic hat and a witch costume appeared. He shook his finger at the doctor with a righteous face. Boom. Next moment, a huge amount of fireball blasted towards the three-eyed doctor. Kamar Taj. Countless apprentices looked at each other in blank dismay. Because they have also learned similar magic before. But Ancient One's eyes widened immediately. Her eyes were full of shock. This. With her knowledge, it was obvious at a glance. It is not a power borrowed from other dimensions like magic. It is generated directly from space. This is not something magic can do at all. Although not too powerful, but the truth revealed in it is too terrifying. Change the reality and make your wishes come true. This kind of abnormal ability is really outrageous. Trick this little witch girl, whose source of power is magic. On the contrary, it also reduced her real combat effectiveness. And at this time, the picture in the light curtain suddenly changed. In the dark space, A slightly frightened voice suddenly came out. Drive gears, what did you say to her? Immediately afterwards, a figure with a blank face and a doctor's suit appeared on the screen. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., another doctor appeared. Nick Fury surprised. Several doctors currently appearing in the Foundation. Each one is extraordinary. This Dr. Gears is probably also one of the 4 Apocalypse doctors of the Foundation. Then, Nick Fury immediately asked the agents of the Intelligence Department to start recording and analyzing directly. On the screen of the light curtain, the doctor named Gears responded, "Sir, you should be very clear about what I said." "No, don't talk to me," a voice in the dark interrupted directly. "I know you Gears, your shitty logic of wrangling with other people will not work on me. I have read your file, now, immediately, tell me, what the hell did you say?" Hear this. Gears fell silent for a moment. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. After seeing this scene, there was a flash of light in Nick Fury's eyes. The voice in the darkness was obviously richer than Hakata. If this Dr. Gears is one of the 4 Apocalypse doctors, so what is the source of this sound? He remembered Dr. Bright's previous information. Could it be the O5 of the Foundation? And at this time, screen, the voice in the darkness continued to roar, "Gears, what you've done could be the entire Foundation. You know, she can do anything. We wanted to keep her from testing, and you did this." Dr. Gears said in an extremely flat voice, "Sir, I understand your helplessness, but I don't think it's necessary. I didn't ask her for any authority, because then she would question the current control of the witch girl strategy. All she knows now is that her powers can be enhanced by the Ultra Council Necromancer and the emergency spell book." Hear this sentence. Gears. The voice in the darkness suddenly froze. A moment later, then he couldn't help but said, "What the hell are you talking about?" Dr. Data Expunged has been attacked by the ultimate darkness, which has taken over Dr. Data Expunged, and only a handful of witches and wizards still retain their magic. Quote. Dr. Gears stood up at this point. He said calmly, "And I, as a necromancer, was dispatched, along with the swordsman Kondraki, to subdue Data Expunged and dispel the evil within him. As long as we work together, Anomalous Containment 239 and I can use the emergency spellbook, but this book can only be used by 2 necromancers at the same time when the ultimate darkness is shrouded." Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., all the agents looked at each other immediately. What about this girl's fantasy story? This story can only fool children, right? But that young witch girl seems to be just a child. Why don't you make up a story about a dragon and a knight? In the Stark Industrial Building, Rhodes couldn't help complaining in a low voice. Screen. The voice in the darkness was obviously stunned for a moment. Only then slowly opened the mouth and said, "Then she believed you. She's already learned how to fire the flame bomb. And with all due respect, sir, she's only a little girl of 8. Gears looked in the direction of the darkness. When you are at this age, you definitely believe that things like light do exist. Cough. The figure in the darkness suddenly coughed. You are really crazy. And at this time, Dr. Gears stood up and walked out. Sir, I'm going to get ready to go now. The voice in the darkness said in astonishment, what are you going to do? As a super conference necromancer, definitely cooperate with the witch to drive out the darkness and data expunge. Kamar Taj, in the eyes of countless magic apprentices. Immediately, he showed a look of incomparable envy. An 8-year-old girl. The mind is still so childish. It turned out to have such a powerful force. The magic they learned so hard. It's actually just a way to restrict the other party. But looking at Ancient One not far away, they still didn't show anything. But Wong next to Ancient One found out. This sorcerer supreme seems envious right now. Wong was stunned. Now, in the picture of the light curtain, the girl in witch costume slowly raised her right hand. A bolt of lightning suddenly spurred out. Next moment, the indestructible sword in the hands of the three-eyed doctor was instantly destroyed. How is this possible? There was a look of shock in the doctor's eyes. Immediately prepared to escape. And at this time, screen, that Dr. Gears also appeared behind the witch girl just now. Both of them pointed at the doctor with the short sticks in their hands at the same time. Next moment, the doctor with 3 eyes. Immediately, an extremely pupil expression appeared on his face, and he roared loudly. Immediately afterwards, he curled up his back, his mouth and eyes immediately released a black light. Seeing this scene, even if this lie is fabricated by myself. But the eyes of Dr. Gears, who never showed any emotion, still couldn't help revealing the color of shock. As for the witch girl, it was no surprise at all. On the contrary, it's like cheering up. He said firmly to Dr. Gears, "Gears Super Protocol Necromancer, we have expelled the evil, we can definitely defeat him." A complex expression appeared on Dr. Gears' face. A moment later, he just nodded blankly. Inside the Stark Industrial Building. After seeing this scene, on the faces of Stark and Colonel Rhodes, also suddenly revealed a strange color. And at this time, in the picture of the light curtain, that ball of black light quickly condensed into a ball in the air. Immediately afterwards, a dragon revealed its figure. Roar! The dragon's roar suddenly sounded. Seeing this scene, Stark couldn't help but looked at Colonel Rhodes suspiciously. Can't help but say, "Rhodes, you are also a reality bender, right?" Colonel Rhodes just complained, "Why doesn't dragon or something appear?" The result appeared in the next second. When Yan. Colonel Rhodes couldn't help but rolled his eyes. "With all due respect, Stark. If I were a reality bender, you would have been killed hundreds of times." In the picture of the light curtain. Roar! The dragon formed by the condensed black light let out a deafening roar. Next moment, those abnormal containments that appeared before. They immediately fought fiercely with dragon. Dr. Gears immediately took the witch girl's hand and fled. "Gears, you idiot, what the hell did you say to her?" And at this time, Dr. Kondraki also recovered, picked up the unconscious Dr. I and ran away. Roar! Behind, the dragon roared wildly. It caused the Foundation's base to vibrate, and even collapsed. In flames. From time to time, the sound of cursing came out. "Come here if you have the guts, you. You are amazing if you can take this blow." The sound of rocket bombs roared. "Come on, let me see how powerful you are." With this roar, the sound of several rocket shells resounded again. "It's like pissing on him, you're awesome." Roar! Asgard. After seeing this scene, in the eyes of Odin and Thor, they all involuntarily revealed expressions of shock and horror. To be honest, the current combat effectiveness of this dragon, it doesn't look very strong so far. Stop talking about Odin. Even if the current Thor is in the past, he is confident that he can win it. But the problem is, this is just something that the witch girl imagined. The ghost knows that if the girl breaks through her imagination, will you imagine a powerful and invincible existence? And, 8-year-old girl, there is probably not much specific cognition about combat effectiveness. No one knows. This dragon was in that girl's imagination. Is it the kind of big boss that needs a lot of effort to solve? In this case, if Thor really appeared, I'm afraid that dragon's strength will increase accordingly, and instead beat Thor to the ground. Then the only solution, to make the witch girl think, this dragon can be defeated. To defeat it, this reality bender is really. Odin stared at the light curtain. The voice trembled a little. And in the picture of the light curtain, 3 doctors. The witch girl and the witch girl have taken refuge in a vault. The witch girl seemed to be exhausted, squatting on the ground panting heavily. Dr. Gears pointed to the spell book, and started talking with the witch girl. "Listen, if you use this magic, you will definitely be able to." The witch girl's eyes lit up and she smiled. Then I flipped through the book 933. Super Protocol Magician. I think I have already learned this magic. But I don't have the magic props required. A moment later, she smiled in surprise and stood up. Flipping through the books, running towards Dr. Gears. "These magic props are here." Dr. Gears points to the warehouse behind him. The witch girl nodded firmly immediately. Then I searched for supplies. And at this moment, Dr. Gears walked to the back of the witch girl. Take out a needle. It directly pierced the witch girl's neck. Next moment, the witch girl slowly closed her eyes and fell asleep. The roar of the dragon then dissipated. See. The 3 doctors immediately breathed a sigh of relief. The doctor with 3 eyes exhaled slowly. Looking at the sleeping witch girl, he smiled wryly and said, "I never expected that I would still be influenced by her. This child is far more dangerous than we thought." He took a deep breath, and said, "My suggestion is to put her in a coma forever in the future, and never wake her up until the necessary time." Hear this. The other 2 doctors nodded immediately. Seems to have thought of something. A doctor added. Also, never let that fellow Bright near her. Shield. After seeing this scene, all agents can't help but look at each other. Let an 8-year-old girl sleep forever. This is too cruel. Tidge. Thinking about what happened before. It was just caused by a thought of this witch girl. This seems like the best way again. After all, who knew that when the witch girl was awake? Will there be any strange thoughts in my heart for no reason? These 3 doctors, plus Dr. Bright, are exactly 4. Judging from their tone, it seems that they are all at the same level, so. Nick Fury staring at the light curtain. Speculation began. Could they be the remaining 3 of the Apocalypse 4 doctors? And just when he was thinking wildly in his heart, trapped in a dark curtain of light, a piece of written information suddenly appeared. New edition. Dr. Bright is prohibited from approaching abnormal containment 239, and tells magic books and horror stories to abnormal containment 239. Nick Fury's expression froze. Kamar Taj. All the magic apprentices stared at the pitch-black light curtain and remained silent for a long time. Original. They think magic is the most amazing thing. In their subconscious, as the magician, they are nobler than ordinary people. After seeing the picture just now, their worldview. But some collapsed. Compared to these reality benders, magic doesn't seem to count for anything. Ancient One was also staring at the light curtain, with complex expressions on his face. Although magic is miraculous, but in essence, it also has its own set of unique operating rules. But this rule, it is not on the same line as science, and it is not understood by ordinary people. But to use magic, it also needs to obey the laws of that set of magic. For example, from extra dimensions, with the help of strength or something. Even she, to get something, had to intercept Dormammu's dark power. B. The abnormal characteristics exhibited by this abnormal containment 239 witch girl. There are no rules at all. Purely, just convince yourself, let yourself believe. Then you can realize your dreams. It just doesn't make any sense. In particular, possessing such exceptional strength. Still an 8-year-old girl. Girls of this age. There is no logic at all in my mind. This also leads to the reality distorted by the witch girl also has no logic. Though it also makes her vulnerable to coaxing. But, the crisis caused to the real world is unimaginable. Just like in the video just now. If it wasn't for that Dr. Gear's hint. To what extent magic can do. The ability displayed by that little girl is definitely more than that. Even if it weren't for that little girl's cognition, the darkness would definitely be defeated. Ancient One suspects, will that dragon be truly invincible like the fire lizard? This ability is really too powerful, and too dangerous. Ancient One sighed. Besides cheating, instead of putting him in a coma, these 2 methods. She also couldn't imagine how to restrain that little girl. Must have her cognition, keep it down in a very low state. No wonder. In the previous materials of the Foundation, it was said that net child girls could not be taken in. Ancient One is even doubting now. If you tell this girl about Dormammu, the witch girl will definitely not be able to help but imagine it in her heart. With her ridiculously powerful abnormal characteristics, is it possible to make Dormammu appear or disappear completely? But, these things, she just couldn't help but think about it in her heart. Took a deep breath. Ancient One looked at the light curtain again. Then, her pupils suddenly couldn't help shrinking. Read the above content in disbelief. Forbid Dr. Bright to read magic books and horror stories to anomalous containment 239. Her expression, suddenly it became very weird. What the hell? A horror story for a young witch girl whose wishes come true. Didn't this make the witch girl really imagine an extremely terrifying devil? Thank goodness he can figure it out. And after this piece of information appeared online, the pot exploded in an instant. Quote ? This prohibition. Dr. Bright, what are you doing with planes? Oh my god, showing witch girls horror stories. Dr. Bright, are you serious? Dr. Bright is really extraordinary. No wonder the 3 doctors are discussing whether to let Dr. Bright approach 239, they really have the foresight. I think I know where the previous records of things that banned Dr. Bright from doing it came about. Although, I laughed to death, ha ha ha. You are indeed Dr. Bright. Inside Site 17 base. Congratulations. You have successfully contained the abnormal containment object 239 Witch Maiden. Acquire spread value plus 400 billion. You have obtained the Level 4 Anti-Reality Distortion and Level 4 Reality Distortion features. In mind, the system beeps continuously. The harvest this time is very good. Lin Yan is very satisfied with this anti-reality distortion. It is to be able to resist the abnormal effects caused by reality benders. But it is only limited to resisting by oneself, and cannot affect others. The three-eyed person who appeared in the previous record, that is, Dr. Clef. It's a level 3 anti-reality bender. So he can perceive. I was changed by 239's reality distortion. Unfortunately, the witch girl is a proper 4th level reality bender. So he only noticed for a moment, and only had time to send half an email to the Foundation. Then the thinking is completely changed. And so the famous anomalous containment 239B event took place. But Dr. Bright's situation is quite special. With 963 immortality, Dr. Bright is immune to all mental disorders. The origin of 963 immortal. May be scary high. Its anomalous properties also surpass the anomalous properties of most anomalous containment objects. That is to say, the reality changed by the witch girl had no effect on him. He knew exactly what was going on. Yes, during incident 239B. Dr. Bright, it was really intentional to send bouncy balls and dice. As for reading magic books and horror stories to witch girls later, it was discovered by the Foundation before it succeeded. It is difficult to tell whether he was found on purpose. But anyway, Dr. Bright's body, it was executed directly. Thinking of this, Lin Yan took a deep breath and entered a containment room. In this containment room, a girl is inside, still in a deep sleep without dreams. And at this time, in Lin Yan's mind, the voice of the system sounded again. Ding! Congratulations! You have obtained the abnormal containment object 2000 mechanical god part, Cont calculator. Congratulations! You can integrate level 4 anti-reality distortion characteristics into the large Scranton reality anchor. Hear this voice. Lin Yan's expression couldn't help becoming weird. Incorporating anti-reality warping traits into large Scranton reality anchors. Level 4 reality benders are too powerful for the Scranton reality anchors to stop. But if you can integrate the 4-level anti-reality distortion feature, it will be different. But, in Lin Yan's mind, I couldn't help but think of another thing. In the data of anomalous containment 4065, the Scranton reality anchor is actually a placebo. In that piece of data, the Scranton reality anchor is actually useless. Just a pile of scrap metal. But with an anomalous mimetic contagion. This leads to, everyone believes that the Scranton reality anchor can contain the reality bender. Under the influence of the anomalous mimetic contagion. Even those reality benders think so. Then, their reality bending ability is really reined in. Definitely, the authenticity of this piece of information. Not yet confirmed. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., together with a group of agents including Nick Fury. All staring at the light curtain. What Dr. Bright is doing is dumbfounding. Scary stories for young girls who want to get what they want. Is this a human thing? In case you let the witch girl have some nightmares that you shouldn't have. I'm afraid the whole world will be destroyed. $. Looking at the light curtain that is gradually darkening, Nick Fury couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Fine, depending on the situation. The anomalous containment item counted this time 239 witch girls, doesn't seem to have appeared outside the Foundation. Otherwise, let the girl see the world outside the Foundation. Both cognition and imagination are improved. If you think about it again. What happens then? Nick Fury can't even think about it. But suddenly, his expression couldn't help but froze again. The witch girl, such a powerful abnormal ability, is only the 3rd place in this inventory. Then the abnormal containment items ranked above it. What kind of powerful abnormal ability should it have? Thinking of this, Nick Fury couldn't help but catch his breath. Because he found out. For this, it seems that I can't even imagine it. Asgard. For the latter paragraph, what Dr. Bright did, Thor didn't care. In his mind, it's still the pictures I just saw. That looks. Girls who are only 7 or 8 years old. How can they be so powerful? Think of something. Anything can happen. Established reality. They were all changed without logic. Even let that foundation. There is no way to take it, only by deception. In this world, how could such a creature exist? No. Not right. In Thor's eyes, suddenly there was a flash of light. He suddenly remembered, in the previous appearance data of the witch girl. Said before, the witch girl can make the D-class personnel who have disappeared reappear. B. What if she had the idea to bring Loki back to life? Thinking of this, Thor's gaze suddenly became extremely hot. Desperate hope. This witch girl is real. Exist. But the next moment, the fire in his eyes dimmed. This witch girl doesn't even know about Loki's existence. Even if you can get what you want, you can't bring Loki back to life. And, if this witch girl really exists, she is probably also in the Foundation's base at this moment. He can't find it at all. But she is only the third place in this anomalous inventory. Thor murmured in a low voice, staring at the light curtain, the higher-ranked anomalous containment must be stronger, maybe. The hope in his eyes gradually rekindled. And Odin on the side. After glancing at him quietly, he didn't speak. Continued to look worriedly at the light curtain. These reality benders, it is too outrageous. As long as they want. What is false can become fact, and what is true can become false. So, has the reality they are in now been distorted? Ragnarok in prophecy, is it really an established Li Jiaohao fate? Thinking of this, Odin's face, he couldn't help showing a look of confusion. New York, is this a reality bender? Magneto looked at the light curtain with a shocked face. Since last time, by the Scranton reality anchors. After temporarily eliminating the enhanced ability, he still has lingering fears. There's that weapon from the Foundation. He doesn't know what to do at all. Even though the Mutant Brotherhood regrouped. But his ambitions, too, have dropped dramatically. But now, there seems to be a way. If you can get help from a reality bender of this level. Magneto stared at the light curtain and spoke in a low voice. There was a gleam in his eyes. If he was able to seduce the witch girl. Or similar reality bender words. Isn't it easy? Will you be able to accomplish your goals? Thinking of this, he suddenly became extremely excited. Although, his inner reason told him that he had better not interact with these reality benders. But the restlessness in my heart is still unbearable. Look for opportunities, just in case there is a chance. He murmured under his breath. And at this moment, in the light curtain, the new text soon emerged. 10 cognitive hazardous containment objects and reality benders inventory. Second place, anomalous containment 3480 Mount Olympus. Mount Olympus, hear the name. In S.H.I.E.L.D., all the agents were stunned. Because Mount Olympus is so famous. It can be roughly understood without the agents of the intelligence department collecting information. This is the mountain in Greek mythology. According to legend, there are many gods living in it. It's like heaven in the Bible. What does this anomalous containment have to do with Mount Olympus? Nick Fury staring at the light curtain. I guessed frantically in my heart, could it be the abnormal containment inventory this time is an area full of abnormalities? Or is it related to Greek mythology? But, anyway, this time the abnormal containment minus 3480, since the ranking is higher than the witch girl. Then the abnormal characteristics are definitely extremely powerful. Asgard, Mount Olympus, is the anomaly contained this time related to Zeus and the others? After seeing the name, Odin was also taken aback immediately, and couldn't help murmuring in a low voice. As the king of the gods of the 9 realms, of course he knows. A Greek pantheon connected to the earth dimension through Mount Olympus. The first thing he thought of. It is the abnormal containment that is being counted this time. Probably, related to the gods of the Zeus pantheon. Thinking of this, in Odin's mind, he thought a lot in an instant. Could it be that this foundation is related to Zeus? Impossible, this is definitely not a power test that Zeus and the others can master. If Zeus and the others can really be related to the foundation, that definitely won't force you to leave Midgard. In the one eye of Odin, suddenly a thunderbolt flashed. And at this time, in the light curtain, new characters appeared. Object class, Keter. Threat level, black. Inside shield. See this string of information. Nick Fury froze for a moment. This time, there is actually 337 more new information in the abnormal containment inventory. Threat level. Does it mean the threat that the abnormal containment may cause this time? Black. What does it represent? Inside shield. All the agents immediately tried to analyze it. And at this time, data in the light curtain. An explanation was quickly given. Threat level. The degree of danger that the item will cause if a containment breach occurs. The highest level is black. The item can cause global damage, or even more serious. Its containment breach could result in an XK class event and must be considered the highest priority. Most of the time, the black item is Keter. XK, Doomsday, a complete doomsday that cannot be reconstructed in a short period of time due to its huge scale. Seeing this string of information, the breathing of everyone in S.H.I.E.L.D. could not help but stagnate suddenly. Momentary stupefaction. After reacting, human face. They all suddenly became extremely pale. According to the information above, the Foundation believes that, once the abnormal containment is out of control this time, likely to cause the destruction of the world. Hiss. All S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, they couldn't help but sucked in a breath of cold air. Nick Fury's pupils shrank suddenly. I couldn't help trembling all over. A moment later, he said in a deep voice, all agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., enter the state of preparation immediately. Kamar Taj. A crisis that is likely to cause the destruction of the world. On the face of the Ancient One, immediately, a dignified look appeared. In her opinion, most of the abnormal containments this time are related to other dimensions. Prevent this crisis. This is her duty as Sorcerer Supreme. This time the abnormality in the inventory takes me in. The ranking is even higher than that little witch girl who can get what she wants. Can she really stop it? We need to confirm first, what exactly is the abnormal containment object this time, and what is the meaning of Mount Olympus? Ancient One looked at the light curtain. However, the next moment, she was stunned. Anomalous Containment 3480 is the peak of Mount Olympus in Greece. See this string of information. Everyone was stunned. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., the faces of all the agents couldn't help showing a look of astonishment. Upon hearing the name of Mount Olympus, they frantically speculated about what the abnormal containment had to do with it. But unexpectedly, Mount Olympus is the anomalous containment originally. TB. This mountain range has existed for an unknown amount of time, and there is no normal response. Could it be that the Foundation is deceiving people? But the possibility of this is extremely low. After whispering, Nick Fury couldn't help looking at the light curtain again. The Hume index here is the lowest value ever recorded by the Foundation, approximately 1.2 times 10, data expunged on the Kalman-Refsky-Hume scale. The Hume index is the strength of reality. The lower the Hume index, the easier it is for reality to be distorted. Thus, it is theorized that anomalous containment 3480 resembles a void that absorbs local reality. However, so far, this effect has strangely not caused any adverse effects on organisms or the environment near anomalous containment 3480. S.H.I.E.L.D. See these materials. All the agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. were stunned. Immediately afterwards, quickly began to act and analyze. And in the Stark Industrial Building, Stark also looked shocked at the same time. The Hume index distorts reality. Stark stared at the light curtain, frowning. A moment later, he suddenly burst out laughing maniacally. I understand, it turns out to be like this. Ha ha ha, I understand what's going on. He thinks, I seem to understand a little bit. Why can reality benders bend the principles of reality? Reality, it can be quantified. This was something he had never thought of before. Colonel Rhodes on the side looked confused. Stark, are you crazy? You will understand what? The Hume index refers to the Foundation's quantitative standard for the strength of reality. Then the reality benders are probably using this to influence the distortion of reality. Stark pointed at the light curtain and explained excitedly, reality benders should be able to increase or decrease the Hume index within the range, so they can distort reality. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Rhodes was still stunned. Is there any difference between you explaining it and not explaining it? But Stark ignored him, but looked at the light curtain excitedly. And at this time, light curtain, the information is updated again. Anomalous containment 34801 refers to the phenomenon that the time interval seems to be random for, which occurs in the abnormal containment 3480. 5 to 22 minutes before this phenomenon occurs, the cont counter in the abnormal containment AICC-3480 will read that the Hume index has returned to the baseline. When the phenomenon begins, a human being in an unconscious state will spontaneously appear about 3 meters above the ground and will not move. White light will then envelop the individual. After this, the Hume level of anomalous containment 3480 will again approach zero. Such phenomena are collectively referred to as white events. Inside the Stark industrial building, Stark looked excitedly at the light curtain. Inferring frantically in his mind, he kept muttering to himself in a low voice. If the Hume index refers to the intensity of reality, then the so-called white event means. His expression became more and more excited. The anomalous containment this time feeds back the strength of the reality it devoured, and released these realities into the human body that appeared. Then, it is possible to create. A guess came to mind. Stark's voice couldn't help trembling. Reality bender. Rhodes was also shocked, although, the process of Stark analysis. He didn't understand a word. But, he understood Stark's conclusion. This time the abnormal containment, Mount Olympus, can create a reality bender. Colonel Rhodes was dumbfounded. In his mind, the not good enough before and the figure of the witch girl continue to emerge. That can do almost anything. A reality bender who can pose a great threat even if some wrong thoughts arise in his heart. Can it be manufactured? Hiss. This conclusion is too shocking. And at this time, in the light curtain, new information is quickly refreshed. After the individual appears and the Hume index falls back, the abnormal containment 34801 will remain inactive for a certain period of time. Due to its characteristics, it is impossible to interact with anomalous containment 34801 instances. Once the material enters within 0.5 meters of abnormal containment 34801, it will suffer a serious reality collapse and become molecular in an instant. Eventually, the light will fade, and the individual within will fall to the ground and regain consciousness. These instances are then labeled as anomalous containment 34802 instances. Kamar Taj. Getting close to those abnormal containment objects 34801, will the reality collapse? Ancient One's pupils shrank suddenly. In her mind. Can't help but think of it. The doctor of the Foundation, when he put forward those two logical paradox instructions to, not good enough, the reality will collapse. That scene. Was absolutely terrifying. Even thinking about it now. Ancient One still has lingering fears. Call. She exhaled deeply, and looked at the light curtain again. Then, she saw information that shocked her even more. All abnormal containment 34802 entities are reality distortion entities with indeterminate ability, and the longer the duration of the white event related to it, the stronger its ability. Anomaly containment 34802 generally exhibits antisocial personality, narcissism, and violent tendencies. Towards. Approximately 68% of anomalous containment 34802 instances exhibit physical or mental impairments. Common defects include extra ventricles, memory loss, intact polydactyly of hands or feet, missing limbs, increased volume and weight of cranial cavity, and abdominal presence that can fire and respond to 4 to 3.6 GHz range broadcast signal of unknown functional organs, and mental retardation. See here, Ancient One's pupils shrank suddenly. Can mass-produced reality benders? There was a little panic in Ancient One's voice. A reality bender. It is already terrifying, and the consequences of losing control are unimaginable. As a result, reality benders can appear in batches in this abnormal containment. This is so. It's about ruining the world. No wonder in the information of the Foundation. I would think that once the abnormal containment gets out of control this time, it is likely to destroy the world. This. Maybe destroying the world is the easiest ending. Just thought of. Many witch girls appeared in the world at the same time. Ancient One couldn't help but feel his scalp tingling. It might as well be that other dimensions invaded the Earth dimension. Also, those reality benders that emerge from anomalous containment 3480 are generally antisocial. Nick Fury was shaking all over. Those reality benders that were counted before. Very good personalities. The witch girl and Zhao Zena are just immature little girls. But they inadvertently. The damage done was horrific. Now, another reality bender with a sociopathic personality. And it's not that simple. When I think about that scene. In Nick Fury's mind, he immediately felt a deep sense of powerlessness. Still playing a fart. And at this time, light curtain. Those written materials slowly disappeared. Instead, is a set of pictures. The towering and majestic Olympus mountains appeared in the picture. On the screen of the light curtain, the continuous and constantly Olympus mountains reveal its majestic true appearance. It's really Mount Olympus. Looking at this familiar mountain range, Nick Fury was taken aback for a moment. Did not expect this mountain range, which has always existed on Earth. It's actually an anomalous containment. And still capable of creating anomalous containment for reality benders. And before that, no one even noticed the difference. Wait a minute. Suddenly, Nick Fury's pupils shrank. He thought of a possibility. Just in case, the Olympus Mountains were originally an ordinary mountain range. But, is it affected by some abnormal containment objects, so it becomes an abnormal containment object? X. Due to the influence of a reality bender born from Mount Olympus. Is this why everyone didn't notice? Director Nick Fury. The location of the anomalous containment has been confirmed. The agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. immediately came to report. Is it necessary to form a special action team? Hesitation suddenly appeared in Nick Fury's eyes. In the past, such an abnormal situation. Then S.H.I.E.L.D. will definitely dispatch an agent team as soon as possible to take over such incidents. But now, in Nick Fury's mind, the information of anomalous containment 3480 emerged involuntarily. In the event of an accident, this thing has the potential to cause the end of the world. Thinking of this, he didn't dare to act rashly. The special operations team is formed in advance, but don't act rashly. Hesitated for a moment, Nick Fury still ordered. Asgard. Sure enough, it was Mount Olympus where Zeus was at that time, but a trace of doubt flashed in Odin's single eye. During the time when the gods were still on the earth, he wrote that Zeus had had many exchanges. He can confirm, at least when many pantheons left the earth. There is absolutely no such so-called abnormal characteristic in Mount Olympus. Not to mention creating such a terrifying reality bender. Otherwise, with the flamboyant personality of that guy Zeus, I will definitely not be able to hold back and launch a war against all gods. So, when is this mountain? Odin stared at the information on the abnormal containment. Looking at Mount Olympus without any abnormality. A look of deep doubt flashed in the one-eyed eye. And at the moment, sudden accident happened. In the picture of the light curtain. On Mount Olympus, a white light, suddenly flickering up. Immediately afterwards, the space around that white light. It started to twist slightly and become chaotic. Kamar Taj. Seeing this scene, Ancient One's pupils couldn't help shrinking. This feels like a scene where reality collapsed when it was not good enough. The phenomenon of reality distortion, the white event is about to start. A look of worry suddenly appeared on Ancient One's face. According to the Foundation's information, then after this bright light, there will be reality benders here. And a reality bender with a sociopathic personality. If the opponent is a reality bender at the level of the witch girl, that would be terrible. Fortunately, the bright light didn't last long, and it ended directly. Instead, it was the bright light, and a tall figure without a left arm appeared. On the face of that figure, showing a look of confusion. Obviously, as to why he appeared here. He didn't remember it at all either. As this anomaly containment 3480-2. A reality bender. Inside the Stark Industrial Building. A look of curiosity suddenly appeared on Stark's face. I don't know how strong his reality distortion ability can be. However, before this figure had time to do anything, brush, a bright light suddenly flashed behind him. Immediately afterwards, the figure immediately passed out. Then, a group of figures wearing Foundation costumes appeared around here. MTF Omega-11 Arrow of Paris, immediately execute the containment operation of the abnormal containment the 1st of February 3480. In the squad, the leading figure spoke. Yes. The remaining members of the Foundation quickly responded. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., MTF Omega-11 Arrow of Paris. Is this another mobile task force from the Foundation? Nick Fury came to the spirit immediately. Last time. The mobile task force that emerged. Also Mobile Task Force ALPHA-9, which included Abel Kane. According to SHIELD's deduction, the mobile task force may be composed of humanoid anomaly containment. So, now this Omega-11 Arrow of Paris. Was it formed specifically to house reality benders? Containing those extremely dangerous reality benders? Thinking of this, Nick Fury's breathing couldn't help but become a little short. In the picture of the light curtain. Soon, members of Omega-11 Arrow of Paris. Then put the comatose abnormal containment object the 1st of February 3480. Escorted to the armed helicopter. New York, Mutant Brotherhood. Magneto stared at the picture in the light curtain, frowning. He wants to use reality benders. To achieve your purpose. But, doing so is extremely risky. He didn't dare to try it lightly before a definite opportunity appeared. First, it's the abilities of these reality benders, which are too dangerous, and he can't control them at all. Secondly, are weak reality benders. The Foundation seems to have a way of being able to handle it. Thinking of the machine that disabled all the abilities of the Foundation last time. Magneto is still terrified, unless there are reality benders as powerful as the Witch Girl, which can make the Foundation helpless. But this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Magneto took a deep breath. He looked faintly, and looked at the light curtain again. On the screen of the light curtain, members of Mobile Task Force Omega-11. After successfully containing the abnormal containment 348021. Not how long has passed. On Mount Olympus, the white light suddenly flickered again. The white incident, it happened again. Magneto shuddered. This time, when the white light appears, much longer than the first time. More than 3 days passed. The white light slowly disappeared. Immediately afterwards, a black woman appeared in place. Around her, space, or reality, involuntarily distorted. Her reality bending ability, obviously much stronger than the first reality bender that appeared. Kamar Taj. After seeing this scene, Ancient One's pupils couldn't help shrinking. White incident lasted for 3 days, has been able to give birth to such a terrifying reality bender. The face of this Sorcerer Supreme is full of shock. She has a hunch. This black reality bender, although its ability is far inferior to that of the Witch Girl. But rather than, not good enough. I'm afraid it's not much different, maybe even stronger. But, the wisdom of this reality bender doesn't seem very high. After several D-class personnel deliberately released by the Foundation were sacrificed by reality distortion because of her fear. The remaining Foundation agents, just like deceiving a Witch Girl. Soon the reality bender let his guard down. Immediately afterwards. After directly deceiving someone with a lie. Contained successfully. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D. Seeing this scene, Nick Fury breathed a sigh of relief. It seems, the Foundation seems to have been prepared for this anomalous phenomenon on Mount Olympus. So, as long as no one makes trouble, there shouldn't be any big troubles. But, before he was happy, on Mount Olympus, the white light shines again. Nick Fury's pupils shrank suddenly. A moment later, he couldn't help cursing angrily. Oh shit, mess with fuck. This is just the end of the last reality bender that came out. Is Mount Olympus immediately brewing the next reality bender? Not an iota of time between them. This efficiency. It's even more outrageous than the Foundation's anomalous containment inventory video. At this rate, I'm afraid it won't be long. Reality benders can run all over the place. Fortunately, the duration of the next white event. Neither are very long. Born reality benders, the degree of distortion of reality is not too high. And, the IQs of these reality benders are surprisingly low. Members of Omega-11. Basically, he told a few lies that he had planned long ago, and he was successfully contained. After realizing this scene, Magneto's whole body was shocked immediately, and his eyes sparkled. It looks like, the reality bender that emerged from Mount Olympus doesn't seem to have a high IQ. So, the first problem I worry about is not a big problem. It is not too difficult to seduce a mentally handicapped person safely, even if the other party has outrageous abnormal characteristics. In his eyes, immediately there was a flash of incomparable excitement. Next, all it takes is a reality bender that the Foundation can't handle. Hold on. However, before he finished speaking, he was suddenly taken aback. Just see, in the screen of the light curtain. Fifth white thing. After pieces, on the resulting reality bender. Wearing Foundation costumes, Magneto was stunned. Inside S.H.I.E.L.D., after seeing this scene, all the agents suddenly stared wide-eyed. What's going on here? An agent couldn't help but muttered. The anomalous containment the 5th of February 3480 that appeared here, why does it have the costumes of the Foundation? Could it be that he is a Foundation? Etc. It suddenly occurred to him. The Olympus Mountains. Even reality benders can be made. It doesn't seem to be a big problem to create a Foundation costume on the opponent. Nick Fury is also staring at the light curtain. His eyes were full of seriousness. In the picture of the light curtain, seeing members of Omega-11. It's time to contain the reality bender that appeared this time. But he suddenly waved his hands wildly and said, "Wait a minute, I'll go with you, hey, you." The members of Omega-11 were taken aback for a moment. All those who saw this scene. They were all stunned. What's happening here? This person. Why are you so familiar with people from the Foundation Mobile Task Force? Countless questions. It immediately appeared in the minds of everyone who saw this scene. Is it possible he's really a member of the Foundation? A bold guess suddenly appeared in Nick Fury's mind. And at this moment, in the light curtain, after the abnormal containment that appeared this time, he took the initiative to sit on the armed helicopter. The screen slowly sank into darkness. Soon after, a picture of a containment room appeared. The reality bender is sitting in the containment chamber. And in front of him, it's a doctor in a white coat. The doctor asked, "Anomalous containment the 5th of February 3480, please state your name and affiliation before you emerged from anomalous containment 3480. Drive Arthur Shoe. If I remember correctly, that's your name, right?" The reality bender emerging from Mount Olympus responded, "I am a level 3 researcher at the Foundation." After hearing this answer, everyone, breathing is suddenly stagnant. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.